Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they pledge you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week, we are checking in on our educational pals over on Sesame Street as we finish up 1983 with season 15 of Sesame Street that aired from November 21st, 1983 to May 18th, 1984. And now we, of course, as usual, did not watch all of season 15 of Sesame Street, but we did watch the first episode of the season, episode 1836, and we watched the episode that deals with Mr. Hooper's death, episode 1839. We watched some classic cuts on the Sesame Street Old School Volume 3 DVD, a Best of Season 15 playlist we found on YouTube, and a couple other important Season 15 clips.
If you made the Sesame Street Volume 3 DVD menu screens, I'm sorry, but I hate you.
Yeah, I do hate you.
You picked the most annoying song. Sesame Street, blah, blah, blah. And it plays every fucking time.
Well, in Volume 1 and 2, I feel like had better navigational things where classic cuts were a thing that were called out on the menu. You could see it. There you go. Click the classic cuts on season 15. Watch the thing. On this one, it's hidden through like 3 layers of sub menus where it's like, click this bonus thing and then click this and then click this and then, yep, that's what you want.
Yeah, I'm only like 70% sure I watched the right stuff. So
well, we'll find out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that being said, we are done with those DVDs now. They did not have any more of those old school volume blah, blah, blahs DVDs.
Yeah.
So our discussions of Sesame Street in the future will have to rely less on physical media and more on illegally uploaded YouTube videos.
I thought that was weird that they didn't keep making old school stuff, but I feel like as we're watching, you can feel it get more and more contemporary.
This batch, yeah, there was some things on this batch that I was like, this feels like 95 or something like that. Like,
totally.
This feels like Sesame Street I would have watched as a kid.
Some of the songs were just like, this is an 80s song. This is not old school anymore. Yeah. Officially.
But then other moments we watched definitely feel dated. And we'll definitely talk about that because computers are a new scary thing in this world of Sesame Street.
Those fools weren't even getting on the internet yet. They had no idea what was going to happen.
But that's not actually all we watched this week because we also watched a National Wildlife Federation PSA because it was made right around the same time as the Sesame Street stuff was coming out. And yeah, we last talked about Sesame Street back in December, in episode 81, I believe, is when we talked about season 14.
Wow. What is time? What are our lives?
I think the second question there is a fair one. But we do have a lot to cover today because we did watch over 3 hours of Sesame Street Season 15 content this week. And so I just want to talk real quick at the beginning here about some other things that happened in 1983, since we are finishing up that year, that maybe we're not talking about today, like the video games that we have played on our Patreon live streams. But other things that we did talk about and that have happened in 1983, just as like a refresher of what this last year has been, we had Fraggle Rock started. We had Rocky Mountain Holiday, Big Bird in China, Don't Eat the Pictures. Muppet Magazine began, which we have not dived into. But at some point,
that was running all through the Muppet Show.
No, I think they were sticking to those like Muppet Show annual things and newsletters coming out.
Right.
But yeah, the Muppet Magazine officially began, and I'm sure at some point we'll read some of those and talk about them. But they're hard to get like your hands on, and also similar to Sesame Street, there's so much content there that it would be hard to talk about enough of it at a time to make it worthwhile.
Right.
But what also came out was the Miss Piggy's Calendar of Calendars, which was the calendar that Sam and I both had last year with some sexy Miss Piggy in it because it aligned with the year 2022. So you were able to use that one as an actual calendar. And also some Muppet video games, as I mentioned previously, started to come out in 1983. most of which we have played on various Patreon live streams over the past year, and most of them are quite bad. At this time, video games were coming out for the Atari 2600, and there's various ones that came out, and some of them were Sesame Street ones that they invented this like weird little children's remote for that just had like 2 buttons on it. But Sam, I'm going to run you through the games that came out during this time, during the end of 1983. We have played all of these.
We're going to give them a grade.
Well, I want to see even like if you remember playing it, if you have any impressions, because my impression of playing these games was they were bad, and I don't remember a lot about playing them.
Okay. Hit me.
Pigs in Space.
That one was maybe weirdly the funnest one we played, but sucked.
I think you're right, because that one had 3 mini games, which each has a different like star of the Swine Trek crew. So there's a Chicken Invaders game where Link is throwing sausages at rows of invading chickens. Gonzo is controlling these chickens from his spaceship. Then there's Piggy's game, which is the Posteroids, which was like meatball asteroids.
I remember that one being kind of fun.
I remember us figuring out how to play it about 10 minutes into playing it and going, oh, you can do this.
Yeah.
And the final one was Escape from the Planet of the Gonzoids, which was the Strange Porks game where you're piloting the Swine Trek through an abandoned pizza mine, avoiding Gonzo's deadly robots.
Just makes me feel like somebody didn't really know what pizza was.
It also just makes me feel like, what were they doing with these video games? Like, let's base a video game on the Muppet Show. Okay, so you're Dr. Julia Strangepork flying through a pizza mine full of robots controlled by Gonzo. Yeah, that sounds like the Muppets to me.
We saw that one episode where Gonzo was Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And that's all we know about it.
Yep, pretty much. Next up, we had a game that didn't actually even officially come out, and that's Miss Piggy's Wedding.
I think it's a shame this one didn't come out, because I think this one could have been fun for about 6 or 7 minutes.
Well, it's hard to judge too, because we actually couldn't play the game the way that it should have been played, because this is a prototype game that was never finished. The game was advertised in Atari catalogs but never made it to final release because Atari canceled their children's series that they were working on, which the Pigs in Space game was part of that. And they were like, oh, no one wants these games. So they canceled that and canceled the production of this game. But the object of the game was it was a 2-player game where one player was being Kermit, trying to escape a church and get to an outside, a taxi waiting outside. And the other person was going to be Miss Piggy, who was insisting on getting married and trying to chase down Kermit.
I could see how it wouldn't work, because it's just like, especially if Miss Piggy didn't have like a disadvantage somehow in chasing Kermit, because they've made those Pac-Man games where some people are ghosts. Have you played those before? Yeah. That's the kind of thing you got to do, where you can't see Kermit at all times like you could in the thing we were playing. But the idea, very fun.
It was also a very small room with no real challenge. And so
that's the other thing I was going to say. It needs to be like the whole city or something. You each need your own screen, and Kermit needs to be able to hide far away from you or something. But in 1983, that would have cost like $7,000, to set up 2 screens and 2 Ataris and stuff.
Yeah. But Gonzo is also in the game. He appears as a minister at the top of the screen, although he serves no purpose in the prototype.
No.
And in the game, Kermit has to go touch a key in order to open the doors and escape. But if Miss Piggy touches the key, the doors close again, which is pretty good, game system. But there's, in the game, there's nothing to tell you what would happen next. Nothing happens in the game.
Yeah, I don't think you even can leave the doors if the doors are open
so.
or something like that. Yeah.
But there was apparently an interview on AtariProtos.com at some point where programmer Gary Shen explained why the game was never finished. And he doesn't say it's because the line was canceled. He basically says creatively, everyone thought this game sucked. Because he said nobody seemed to be able to come up with a playable concept for the game. It was just a maze to run around in with routes that were pretty ugly and didn't resemble Miss Piggy or Kermit. We all tossed around different ideas, but nothing stuck. The 2600 just couldn't deliver on what Henson Associates visualized. So,
well, how did Pigs in Space get made then?
That's a great question. And I think maybe this is somebody who was maybe wasn't told they canceled the line. Maybe they're like, yeah, well, the Henson people, they're just not happy. So
okay.
We also played Big Bird's Egg Catch.
Yes, this one was good.
I remember these Sesame Street ones not being that terrible. They were like very. You get bored of them extremely quickly because they didn't change that much as you went on. But Big Bird's egg catch was basically you were Big Bird and you move back and forth underneath a chicken coop as hens lay eggs. And you're trying to, catch the falling eggs.
Yeah, and there was like you could pick what level you were playing. So there were some that were actually kind of hard, I remember. It was almost like, whoever made this game was like, well, just for me, I'm going to make it a little fun and make some crazy levels.
Well, we also played Alpha Beam with Ernie. Which is where you kind of help Ernie gather letters using a rocket ship. I remember that one not being fun.
There was like a 2-player mode that seemed like it would be fun, but then I think we realized that it was actually just like you weren't competing or anything like that. You were both just doing your own thing. Yeah, that one was fun. These ones they looked better than the Muppet ones, at least.
They had some good art, like especially there would be like a little cut scene, like in the next one I was going to mention, Cookie Monster Munch.
Oh, yeah, this one was great.
There's some very good Cookie Monster animations in that game. And in that one, you're moving Cookie Monster through a maze to collect cookies and put them in a cookie jar.
Who are you playing as, Cookie Boy? Is that your name?
Cookie Monster moves throughout the levels. And in the final 4 levels, the player guides the Cookie Kid, a Muppet made just for this game, through the maze.
I don't think they should be allowed to call him a Muppet.
Yeah, he's just a few pixels. And they're like, that's a Muppet. And as far as I saw, like even in the instruction manual or anything, there's not like another representation of him. So Cookie Kid doesn't really exist, I don't think.
Okay.
But maybe somewhere they call them a Muppet. I think at some point, Cookie Monster also becomes sort of the villain when you're the Cookie Kid.
Yeah, I think he like comes up the top of the screen and like makes a scary sound, and he's like stalking you around this maze as you're trying to get cookies before he does or something like that.
He turns into the true villain that he actually is. Like he will devour you to get to your cookies.
I don't think anybody like on the show Sesame Street is denying that he is a menace.
They just keep him at bay.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you can eat our Christmas tree. Fine. Don't eat my child.
Just don't eat us, yeah.
And the last one we played was Oscar's Trash Race.
These all came out the same year?
Like the same month. Like they were just like, fuck it, dump them. But the player helps Oscar the Grouch collect trash. First, the player picks up the numbered trash can that matches the number of items on the street. Then the player guides Oscar, walking in his can to collect the items and race back to the starting line before Slimy reaches the other end of the screen.
This one was insane.
Yes. I remember, one, this was harder than it should be because nothing was explained to you in a way that made any sort of sense. And so it was just that sort of like, you're playing and all of a sudden you lost and you're not sure why.
Yeah, and the buttons. So all of these games came with a different sleeve you would put over the controller, a very simple controller. But that like little plate you put over it had the instructions on it and the buttons you were supposed to push. So I think we started to like pull up the images of those and kind of figure it out. The Oscar one was buck wild though.
Yeah,
I think you liked it by the end. I remember you being like, this is kind of fun.
I think that was kind of how we, like, some of these we definitely came around on once we figured out actually how to play it. But a lot of them, when you first dove in, you're like, this is the hardest game I've ever played.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of these, so we played a bunch of Muppet video games. I feel like these earlier ones, it was easier to be like, huh, that's kind of cute. And then the later ones were just like, this is the most annoying game I've ever played in my entire life, and it just is punishing.
I'm pretty sure we played all of these in our very first Patreon live stream. So within a couple of hours, we played all of these games. We didn't beat all of them, but we played through all of them enough to have a strong opinion on them.
And people can watch that if they get on our Patreon. Right?
Yeah, if you go sign up for our Patreon, you can still go back through the archives and watch the last however many months of live streams we've been doing. It's probably about a year now. And you can go back and watch a slightly younger Matt and Sam play some terrible Muppet video games.
Yeah. And so you better subscribe to our Patreon so NPR doesn't cancel us like they canceled all their other podcasts.
Can you imagine if we were an NPR Muppet podcast?
And we came on every like Saturday morning at like 3:00 in the morning.
Oh, they actually put us on the radio?
Yeah.
And now it's time for commitment.
Just like us swearing.
Fuck
thog. Yeah.
We're the bad boys of NPR.
Yeah, I'd kiss Miss Piggy. Get a lot of letters. We could do some good fundraising, I bet, though. They'd let us off the leash. We'd be like, I don't know what we'd say. We'd say, I'll kiss Matt on the lips. Give us
The problem is, like,
$500.
Sesame Street and NPR are actually they get along. They have Muppets on their podcasts and radio shows sometimes. So I feel like we would get in the way of that. They'd be like, "Oh, we can't have you guys and the actual Muppets." So the Muppets
Big Bird
win.
would get on and be like, "I heard what they said about me."
Yeah, they don't like when I wear jeans. Well, as we are finishing up 1983 here, we must look forward to 1984. And Sam, I just wanted to let you know what we'll be talking about mostly throughout 1984. The answer is more Fraggle Rock, the first season of Muppet Babies, The Muppets Take Manhattan, and the Henson's Place documentary.
I don't really know what that is, I don't think.
So the Henson's Place documentary is like the first real, like, big documentary about all of Jim Henson's life and his work and everything. And I have seen so many clips from this thing through the years that I think it's going to be a very important thing for us to watch and realize what we've been wrong about, what we've been right about, and just get some insight.
Maybe we've made insights that they didn't, that they missed,
Yeah, take that, Jerry Jewell. But yeah, that'll be actually our 100th episode. We're going to be talking about the Henson's Place documentary. That felt appropriate.
You're such a good planner.
Yeah, look at me go. Mostly it's things work out coincidentally, and I'm like, well, if I just move that a week... It looks like I thought about this really hard. But I think that about does it for 1983 and what we played and watched and everything. But we have the elephant in the room here is Sesame Street Season 15. So, Sam, tell the people what we watched this week.
First, we watched a PSA for the National Wildlife Fund from November 1983. In it, Kermit and Fozzie are fishing, but they keep catching trash like cans and stuff like that. Fozzie wonders why anyone would litter like that, and Kermit says it's because people just don't think about their actions. He then asks viewers to write into the National Wildlife Fund. Fund or foundation?
Federation.
Oh, wow. The third word I didn't think of.
Yeah.
So that they can tell you why you shouldn't throw cans in lakes.
Yeah, Kermit says water is something we have to conserve and keep clean. And, I mean, yeah, to be fair, it's cute. It's nice. And I think that's about all we'll probably have to say about it in this episode.
I really liked at the end when Kermit was like, you can write to the National Wildlife Federation to learn more. And then Fozzie's like, who are you talking to? That felt like Frank doing like going off script.
Yeah, that
in a classic way.
In a way that Jim would be like, God damn it, you ruined that take. He's like, I think I made it better though.
Yeah, I'm actually not going to do another one, so see you later.
I like the address too is Kermit, National Wildlife Federation, Washington, D.C. And I'm like,
better than Predators.
Better than Predators, for sure. But there's no numbers. There's no street. There's no nothing. Yeah. It's just Kermit, National Wildlife Federation, Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I guess the mailman knows what to do.
I guess. He's like, God damn it, another one?
Yeah. I like this, like, it was like a kind of a nice little slice of life kind of seeing what these guys are doing now that they're retired is what it felt like.
And we'll have a handful of these coming up throughout the 80s of these PSAs. And I think this is sort of, we had the John Denver one with Kermit already, and we had this one. And I think we have, about 5 or 6 more of the National Wildlife Federation PSAs.
They're really getting back to nature.
Yeah. You got to take care of that earth because people don't think about it, Sam.
That's true. Next up, we watched the season 15 premiere of Sesame Street, which aired November 21st, 1983. Today is the day of the New York City Marathon, and Gordon is getting ready to go run in it. Also running is Mr. Snuffleupagus. Big Bird planned for him to catch a ride to the marathon with Gordon, but Snuffy is really, really late, and also no one thinks he's real, so the grown-ups make Big Bird get in the car with them to go to the marathon, leaving Snuffy behind. The race starts and everyone leaves the starting line except Big Bird. Several hours later, Snuffy makes it to the starting line and starts the marathon too. The marathon winds through Sesame Street where Oscar decides to spray Gordon with a hose as he passes instead of giving him the customary little cup of water. It's supposed to be a nasty trick, but Gordon loves it, much to Oscar's chagrin. As everyone leaves Sesame Street to watch the next leg of the race in Central Park, Big Bird still needs to wait for Snuffy. Forgetful Jones hangs out with Big Bird as he waits and is there when Snuffy runs past. Since Forgetful is the only other person to see Snuffy in the flesh, Big Bird asks him to corroborate his existence to a passing Bob, but the instant Snuffy left his field of vision, obviously Forgetful Jones has forgotten all about him. As the marathon goes through the park, Gordon is falling behind because of some kind of leg damage of some sort. He keeps soldiering on. Snuffy is nowhere in sight, which worries Big Bird. He goes to look for him and finds Snuffy stopped at a stop sign, wondering when he can go again. Some little kid that Big Bird is hanging out with tells Snuffy that stop signs are just for cars and bikes, and off Snuffy goes. The marathon ends as Gordon crosses the finish line dead last, except he's not dead last because Snuffy is still running. Big Bird insists. Big Bird waits in the park as all of his friends leave. Later, as night falls, Gordon and Susan drive up and wait with Big Bird in the park, but they fall asleep right before Snuffy shows up. The pair of giant friends decide not to wake the sleeping grown-ups and push their car all the way back to Sesame Street in a sort of bizarre act of self-sabotage on Big Bird's part. He should have just woken them up. Then we watch the November 24th, 1983 episode from season 15. Big Bird decides he wants to watch the grown-ups talk, but they're being so boring that he has to invent games for himself, like trying to guess what they're talking about. And it turns out what they're talking about is a new baby that someone on the street had. Then they start talking about politics, which is a topic so boring that no game could make it fun, so Big Bird takes off. However, he comes back a little bit later with a present for everybody. He's drawn super good caricatures of all the Sesame Street grown-ups. He hands them out one by one until he gets to Mr. Hooper, who is not present. Big Bird asks where Mr. Hooper is, and the grown-ups remind him that Mr. Hooper died recently and won't be coming back. Big Bird and everyone else get sad about it all over again, and Big Bird goes to be by himself for a while. Later that day, the grown-ups bring by the baby that they were talking about earlier, and Big Bird observes that even though old friends leave us forever sometimes, there will always be new friends being born. But Big Bird, as we discussed, is functionally immortal and not subject to the circle of life and death, and it's unclear as to whether or not he knows that. Then we watched Ernie sing I Don't Want to Live on the Moon, one of his signature songs, and an unusually poignant one at that. Then we watched the street segments from another season 15 episode airing April 4th, 1984. I think almost 39 years to the day that this podcast episode will be released. Everyone on Sesame Street has chipped in to buy a computer. The grown-ups are putting it together in Luis's Fix-It shop, and Big Bird and Snuffy wander in and ask some questions about what a computer even is. The grown-ups are so engrossed in putting the computer together, though, that they never turn around to see that Snuffy is just standing right behind them, and Big Bird's nightmare continues. Later, once the computer is set up, Telly comes in and immediately starts panicking that he's too stupid to ever learn to use it right. Maria sits down with him and they figure out the basics by playing a computer game. However, Telly gets hooked on the game and keeps playing it even as a line forms behind him to use the computer. I really wanted to know what Bob wanted to use the computer for, but you never get to find out. What could they be using it for?
Yeah, without
Printing
internet,
stuff
it's
out?
interesting to think of, like, what are they lining up to do? Like, what are they all in a rush to do on that computer? Like, obviously...
Bob wants to play the face-making game also.
Yeah.
Then we watched a couple of street segments from the May 8th, 1984 episode. It's election time on Sesame Street, so David and Olivia take Big Bird to their local voting location to show him how it all works. A futile action because Big Bird will never be old enough to vote. Later, Snuffy meets Big Bird at the voting location, but everyone's in a voting booth, so they miss him yet again. And that one ended like abruptly, right?
Yes. There's a couple things that we watched this week that I'm not sure if they were supposed to end where they ended, but that's the only versions I could find.
Okay. We then watched a season 15 best of compilation and some DVD bonus shorts, including some beatniks singing the alphabet, Telly trying his best to do a Kermit-like reporter segment, but he's too boring to pull it off, Ernie lounging on the grass and singing about all the bugs you'll meet in your neighborhood, Grover at a grocery store getting taken advantage of by line cutters, Telly and Oscar doing a bad Siskel and Ebert parody, a nose-loving pervert running amok in a park, Bert and Ernie as cavemen walking to school, Carol Channing singing with a snake that she's in love with, weirdly more cavemen at school as Kermit reports live from the very first school day in history, an inexplicably bad song about exercise, an inexplicably bad song about making a neighborhood garden, a really good song about bells, and a story read by Bob about a turtle with horrible self-esteem, among other things.
The most relatable turtle I've ever met.
He really was. I realized I stopped taking notes on that one, and the last thing I wrote was, I love Shelley.
I also wrote down the words, I love Shelley, because Shelley is, at the same time does have the low self-esteem, but he's like, I don't know how to make friends, and even if I tried, they probably wouldn't like me. And I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah. Yep.
Some other things that were happening around this time in the world of the Muppets. On November 24th, 1983, Oscar once again hosted the Toronto Santa Claus Parade with Sharon, Lois, and Bram.
They love that guy.
This was the last year he did it, so he did it 3 years in a row. And there's no footage or clips from this year, unfortunately, so we'll just have to trust that it was amazing. But then in December 1983, we have some Jim's Journal, Jim's Red Book entries here. He wrote down in December, looping for MM3, which was, Muppet Movie 3, which was Muppets Take Manhattan.
Right.
And yeah, this was just them finishing up and re-recording some of the dialogue there in December. Then he wrote, end of December, Dennis Lee hands in novella of Labyrinth, because Jim had asked the Fraggle Rock lyricists and Canadian poet laureate, Dennis Lee, to help develop a narrative for his Labyrinth idea. So after meetings where they used both Jim's ideas and concept art from Brian Froud, Lee produced a poetic novella. And so that was drafted into a script by Terry Jones and Laura Phillips. And then Jim worked with his producer, George Lucas, and numerous Henson colleagues and writer-actor Elaine May through April of 1985 when they finished the script and cameras started rolling on Labyrinth.
I feel like nobody works as hard on stories as Jim Henson does, and his stories are always not very good and they're kind of confusing.
I feel like that's a bit harsh.
The process you just said is so intense. And Labyrinth is just okay, in my opinion.
All right.
And Dark Crystal is extremely confusing.
Yeah.
And he thought about that one so long.
Yeah, it's a little bit of like, you get a little too deep in and no one's there to pull you out and say, whoa, but what does that mean?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, people will get it. It's fine. Then on December 5th through 9th, 1983, Jim wrote filming for Sesame Street. So they were doing their regular duty of coming in and filming their new segments for the next season.
I love that they still make time for it. It seems like they have a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's definitely some fun segments we watched from this batch where, Jim is featured in a lot of the things we watched from season 15. December 20th, Jim wrote Henson Foundation Meeting, second year. So Jim created the Henson Foundation in 1982 to promote and develop the art of puppetry in the United States. And this is still going. It's now called the Jim Henson Foundation, and it's under the leadership of his daughter, Cheryl Henson. And basically they give out grants to artists and puppeteers and stuff who are helping like the artistry of puppetry thrive. And yeah, they've awarded over 600 grants to over 250 people since they started. So good job, guys.
A lot of repeat grants.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, there's a lot of people getting grants multiple times, which I guess maybe there's not a lot. Like,
there are a lot of puppeteers going on out there.
Then on December 31st, 1983, Jim wrote, to Pasadena for the Rose Bowl. Miss Piggy float. Lisa, Heather, Brian. I like the way his brain works when he writes down. He's just like, I'll remember later that this means they were there. So in 1981, Jim and the Henson team were approached by the organizers of the Rose Parade about participating the following January. And so they worked on basically making some floats, and they turned this one out, which is, I will send you a link, Sam. We need to watch it at the same time because neither one of us watched this. We just needed an additional thing to watch.
Yeah, partway through watching stuff this time, you sent me a bunch more stuff to watch.
Yeah, it was a little overwhelming for me as well.
Shouldn't be allowed.
So this is the Rose Parade, the 1984 New Year's Day one. It's just like a little 11-second clip here. And this is the Miss Piggy float celebrating the 125th anniversary of the YWCA. And it's got it's an astronaut Miss Piggy with a giant sign that says "One giant leap for womankind."
And then people on the parade float are waving, and they're dressed in the pigs in space costume. So he helped with this?
Well, he at least went there for the parade to watch it, and I think he had probably some approval over it because it seemed like they went back and forth with the creative teams, and they had some floats previously, and they'll have some floats again in the future. So in 1986, they're going to have a Sesame Street float and a Miss Piggy and Kermit float in 1990, which is themed Lassoed by Love, which is a Western-attired Kermit and Piggy.
I'm very impressed by Miss Piggy's a hard puppet to get right, and she looks good. She looks like a big Miss Piggy.
Yeah, as opposed to I feel like the full body costume to Miss Piggies that we've seen in the past that are horrifying.
Yeah,
you can make one out of roses and it looks just fine.
They got the eye placement right.
And the last time, apparently, the Muppets were connected with the Rose Parade, or at least the Disney Muppets, was in 1986 when Kermit served as the Grand Marshal, riding in the lead car.
Why wouldn't you get a Muppet to be the Grand Marshal of all parades?
That's how I feel about the Oscar hosting the Toronto Santa Claus Parade thing, where it's like, you should always have a Muppet.
He should still be there.
It's like on this year where they had Uncle Traveling Matt do a bunch of segments during the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. That was perfect. So getting into season 15 of Sesame Street, this year, some other things happened on Sesame Street that we didn't watch that I wanted to mention before we start talking about what we did watch. So this is after a 9-year absence. Joe Raposo has returned as musical director and will remain with the show until his death.
He was gone for 9 years?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I think it's because we see a lot of his work still because they repeat things time after time. So we still see a lot of his songs and hear his voice singing songs, but he just hasn't been there being hands-on yet. But other things that happen in season 15 that we didn't see, Captain Vegetable comes to Sesame Street after appearing in just a taped segment last season. He actually comes to Sesame Street itself to interact with the humans.
You can't, and there's no footage of that?
Oh, I'm sure there is, but I didn't want to add another hour worth of stuff for you to watch, Sam.
Fair enough.
Telly meets Mr. Snuffleupagus. And even though he showed up in the previous best of things we watched, Teeny Little Super Guy actually makes his first appearance in season 15, where I believe we talked about him in our season 13 or 14 episode, but he didn't actually. That was a season 15 clip that something on the DVD got messed up. And this year, as we see, Sesame Street gets a new computer installed in the public library, and that was a running thing throughout the whole season, not just the clips that we watched. Mm-hmm. Sally Ride appeared in the season finale and talks with some of the Muppets and the humans and kids about being an astronaut. Slimy plays basketball at some point during the season. Gladys spends an entire episode preparing to jump over the moon. And Marv Albert, the famous basketball announcer, is even there to announce it as she attempts multiple times and does at the end successfully jump over the moon.
No, not possible.
Well, you got to watch that episode, Sam. It did.
They should teach kids that you can't do everything that you put your mind to.
Yeah, kids aren't cows, Sam. There's a moment where Snuffy has an existential crisis where he has to confirm with a child that he is in fact real and not imaginary.
Oh, no.
Because he starts to wonder, maybe I am imaginary.
How does Telly see him and not tell anybody? People just don't believe Telly either.
I didn't watch that episode, but I just know that he meets him at one point. I think there is a part where Telly tries to tell people, but of course something happens and Snuffy isn't around. And
yeah,
I feel like it's so wild. We're still 2 seasons away from people finding out about Snuffy.
Big Bird is getting desperate at this point.
Well, and some of the humans feel like they want to believe. There's a couple moments in this where Maria's like, but maybe I'll stay and meet Snuffy, and people are like,
I love that. She's so good at that, like, whenever he's talking about Snuffy, she's like, I know he's real, but I can't say it out loud or else people will make fun of me.
Yeah.
Because I spent so long being mean to Big Bird about it.
Yeah, well, it's the season 17 premiere is when the adults will actually see Snuffy. So, it's going to be for us in October. We'll be talking about that. But
it's just like they've made so much hay out of Snuffy being imaginary. They must have been scared to reveal him, because then they'd be like, what do we write the stories about now?
Well, speaking of, in season 15 as well, at a certain point, David has a friend named Bill who is coming to visit Sesame Street. Mm-hmm. Except Bill gets sick and calls and says, well, I can't come visit. So Big Bird accuses David of having an imaginary friend that he's lying about.
That's this season?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's good.
And in another episode, Telly's grandma invites him on a trip to Mexico. So he spends the whole episode preparing, including using the computer to learn some Spanish.
That's cool.
Yeah. But when Granny Monster finally arrives, she reveals that they're not going to Mexico today, and that trip won't be happening for 6 years.
Why?
Well, she goes on to say that this was an exercise to see if they could both meet up at a scheduled time without anything going wrong. And since the test was successful, she intends to do it once a week until their trip actually takes place.
Granny's very realistic about what's going on Sesame Street, it turns out.
Yeah, like, Telly, the odds of you getting this right and preparing to go on a trip to Mexico this quickly were very slim. So kudos on pulling it off, but I did not trust you.
Telly's pretty competent. It seems like he's okay.
I feel like he's a little too on edge all the time. Like I think Telly legitimately.
Telly would show up. Telly would show up early to be there. You know,
You're not wrong. Yeah, I think you might be right here. Yeah, Telly would actually be there hours early because he's too worried about being late.
I think Big Bird's grandma would be the one who's like, Big Bird, you're gonna fuck this up. And it would take 6 years to train him not to screw up, and then he would forget by the next episode how not to screw up.
Getting into what we watched this week, the first episode was episode 1836 from November 21st, 1983, the season premiere of season 15. As Sam covered in his recap, this is the New York City Marathon episode where Gordon is presumably the slowest man in New York.
He's hurt, okay?
Other people are probably hurt in the marathon too.
It seemed like he was doing pretty good up until he hurt himself, but I admire his bravery. I think if I was getting last place in the marathon, I'd just be like, all right, I'm going home.
Notably, at the beginning of this episode, Big Bird is wearing the tie that we have talked about so much in his Don't Eat the Pictures and Big Bird in China episodes. Somebody reached out to us and said that apparently that is often used on the costume that doesn't have the monitor inside, so that it's covering Carol Spinney's like peephole where he can see out of Big Bird's chest. And so I guess that can like move out of the way a little bit, or peripheral vision, he can see around the tie, but it like is too obvious if the tie isn't there. I'm not really sure how it works. This is one person who told us this. But it would make sense that he would be using it for these sort of taped segments when they go
location.
out.
Yeah. I thought this was I love a Sesame Street with a strong story.
Yeah, and I think along the way you learn so many things about all the characters too, of like just even the way all the other humans are treating Gordon. You learn 2 is Snuffy's favorite number for some reason.
How are they treating Gordon?
I feel like they all are just sort of like, they want to cheer him on, but they don't believe in him.
Well, yeah, that's the vibe I got from Susan.
Yeah.
She's just,
I feel like that was like, as his wife was just like, yeah, honey, you go run that marathon. I bet you're going to do a great job.
Be running this marathon. I believed in him. I think he would have done really well if he hadn't have whatever happened to his leg hadn't happened to his leg.
Hey, he's got a Charlie horse.
It's got to be hard to get last place in the marathon, though. I think you're right.
Yeah, which he didn't. See, if he believed in Snuffy, he could be a little prouder of himself and be like, well, I didn't get last. At least there was that Snuffleupagus behind me. And he had 4 legs, so should have been faster.
Snuffy's running speed in this episode was confusing because he is hours behind, but then when they're in Sesame Street, he's right behind them. Then I guess he stopped at that stop sign for several more hours and is extremely behind, I suppose is what's happening.
Maybe Snuffy has the speed of a cheetah, but doesn't move that often. So it's just like short bursts where he like catches up.
And then he's got to take a breather. Mm-hmm. Loved his sneakers, too. He was looking good in this one.
Yeah, we find out that Snuffy goes running often, apparently. He's got a whole jogging get-up here. But yeah, again, obviously people are very rude to Big Bird about his imaginary friend as they need to leave for the marathon. And Big Bird decides to still go with them to the marathon. And when he gets in the car, because it's a normal human-sized car, Big Bird has to stick his head out the window. And
made me kind of nervous.
Yeah, he's just hanging his head out the side of the window. Like
it's going to be like Hereditary, you know?
I've never seen Hereditary.
I won't spoil Hereditary, but
I mean, I feel like you did.
Something really bad happens to someone whose head's out the window.
Well, I think I can, connect the dots there. Well, at the marathon, it seems like they had a lot of B-roll of the actual New York City Marathon. But
I looked really close at everybody's mouths to see if anyone swore. I didn't see any, though.
Well, and during this part, you only hear Big Bird and Maria in voiceover. You don't see any of them interacting with anyone at the marathon. So clearly, they did not actually go to the marathon to film this episode. But at the end of that segment, you do get to see Big Bird and Snuffy on the actual bridge, filmed later, obviously, where they had to have shut down this whole bridge so Mr. Snuffleupagus could jog across it.
So that Big Bird could stand in the middle of it. Yeah. I was wondering how they did that with the race, too. There must be another way around or something. I feel like that bridge has like a lower, I've only seen it in movies. Don't even know what bridge it is. The George Washington Bridge, the Brooklyn Bridge, who knows? But I feel like that bridge has a lower part, too, where cars can also go. So maybe everything gets rerouted onto the bottom part or something.
Maybe.
But How do you shut down a big bridge like that?
I mean, I feel like they do it pretty often at this point. They kind of know what they're doing. Well, speaking of run, one of the things we see in this episode is a repeat two-headed monster thing where they just sound out the word run. We have seen this before, and I'm already getting tired of the two-headed monster.
I hate these guys.
Yeah, I kind of loved them when we first started seeing them, and now I'm like, oh, okay, so everything's the same with them. They're very one note.
Yeah. Sometimes I like at the beginning when they're like when like one of them's telling a story to the other one, and it's just like blah 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 blah, but you can tell what they're doing. But it's kind of annoying.
There was one segment that we'll get to later that I did enjoy from them in this batch, but most of them are just run, and it's like,
Yeah,
I get it. It's fine. But we have a Kermit news flash in this episode. It's originally from a season 8 episode, but most of the things we're talking about were from previous episodes.
We've never seen this one.
No, this is a new one for us where Kermit's looking for the old woman who lives in a shoe. And at first he visits the young man who lives in a glove and the young woman who lives in a hat. And so he finally reaches the shoe and is assigned to be the babysitter for all the kids.
This one was funny in a way that these 70s ones were like still a little bit like grown up in a way.
That is true. And Kermit's cracking some jokes where I'm like, oh, kids aren't going to appreciate that, and adults are going to groan at it. Like when he's talking about he's like, maybe we could start out with some soul music.
Yeah.
And he's talking about the living in the shoe.
But yeah, when that guy said, I don't know, I'm the young man who lives in a glove, that was funny.
Yeah.
I think that's a good gag.
The woman who lived in the hat was terrifying.
I don't remember. She looked terrifying?
She had like triangular snake pupils.
Oh, yeah, right.
It was just like I was waiting for her to like transform into a monster or something, and she never did.
Yeah.
That was just her eyes. I mean, her whole thing, I guess, was that she makes animal noises. Because it was like there was
That's
a
true.
young woman who lived in a hat. She could bark like a dog and meow like a cat. So maybe she was supposed to be
she's
a
a
cat.
chimera of some sort. Yeah.
Well, anamorph. But when we reach the old woman in the shoe, the old woman is performed by Frank Oz, who has his best Ma Otter blooper voice on once again.
That's what I wrote too.
Hubba
Yeah.
what?
The best. Love that old lady voice he does.
Yeah. And the kids attack Kermit. But there's an inside joke here in this sketch where the kids' names are Heather, John, Brian, Lisa, and Cheryl. And there's also Polly and Kate. Polly and Kate are named after John Stone's two daughters. And then obviously Heather, John, Brian, Lisa, and Cheryl are the Henson children.
That fool had a lot of kids.
Yeah, he did. And he had them like all by now, I think. Like he had them all in a very short period of time. Then, for some reason, the marathon route comes back through Sesame Street, which it didn't seem like they were prepping for at all when they were
Yeah,
leaving
that's
to
a
go
good
to the
point.
marathon. But
Right.
apparently now everyone's back on Sesame Street waiting for Gordon to run through, and Oscar has a dirty plan here. He's going to spray Gordon with a water hose. And turns out that's exactly what Gordon wanted in this moment.
Yeah, he like does a little dance while he's getting sprayed. It's great.
Yeah, Telly tries to stop Oscar. He is not effective at most anything, but especially this in this moment. And
You're mean to Telly. I feel like I've said this before. Telly's the one I feel the most kinship with.
I mean,
Because I'm too stupid to learn how to use a computer. I'm not even going to try.
I feel like I'm not mean to Telly. I'm real with Telly. I'm going to tell Telly what he, maybe should be trying to do to improve himself.
Just of all the monsters, or even Forgetful Jones, he's the one that the other grown-ups treat with the most respect, I feel like. Like him and Oscar are kind of equally just like, that's Telly. He's just my friend who lives on the street who's a little stupid and a little bit of a coward, but we can get through it usually. Instead of Big Bird, who they just like spit on. They hate Big Bird.
The fact that Telly is supposed to be 5
That doesn't add up
still
at all.
does not make any sense to me.
No. He's 35.
Yeah, easily. But yeah, they refer to him as being 5 at some point, so that just seems the most wrong.
But yeah, I really like Telly and Oscar's relationship, where Telly is like in love with Oscar basically.
Well, I like that they had to give, they clearly were looking for pairings. Like they have Bert and Ernie, but that's only when Jim and Frank can be around. And so
Yeah.
they needed like a pair of Muppets on the street because Carol can't be Big Bird and Oscar at the same time.
Right.
And so they needed someone to pair with a Carol character. And so they had Telly.
And then I love at the end when he sprays him with the hose and Gordon's like, thanks, Oscar. This is just what I needed. And Telly says, haha, you're a sweetheart to Oscar.
He's like, no, I'm not.
No, I'm not. I'm terrible.
Then we have a Bert and Ernie segment from episode 1134, where Bert is preparing to give his nephew Brad a bath.
Love Brad.
Brad's very good.
It's a little freak. Yeah.
Brad's not as terrifying as he is sometimes. There's an episode where Brad gets his first tooth or something, and so there's a terrifying Muppet version of Brad that has his tooth, and it's unsettling.
I think Brad had a tooth in this.
Did he?
I think he did.
Oh, well, it wasn't as creepy as I think the puppet that now resides at one of the museums, maybe the Center for Puppetry Arts, is a little banged up. He's looking rough.
Was it like a human tooth or something?
No, it's just too big for his face, I think.
Oh, he's got just two little top teeth, I think, in the one that we saw. And I am seeing the Brad on display, and he's just got too many little teeth coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, he looks a little like Sloth from the Goonies.
Yeah, and if he bit you, it would hurt in a really bad.
Yeah, it would bleed way more than you would think it would.
Exactly. Yeah. I kind of like that. He's creepy.
He's way creepier than the Brad we see trying to take a bath. Like,
he's just been around too long.
Yeah, I think it's just that.
And the lighting in that picture is so funny because he's got the really dark circles under his eyes.
Well, and his eyes also seem like they've been set too far apart. Like maybe Brad was restored at some point by somebody who didn't necessarily get to spend a lot of time on him.
Yeah, they're really far apart from each other.
So I think it just became like another character somehow accidentally.
Or like his foam shrank and his eyes just
Wah. But yeah, Bert is trying to give him a bath. Ernie is like, hey, you don't have any bath toys, as the, guy who's all about bath toys. Yeah. Let me help you out here. And so he eventually brings so many toys for Brad that there's no room for Brad. But there is room for Ernie, who jumps in the bath.
Doesn't add up, does it?
No, not at all.
Brad's so small.
Yeah. And I did like, this is a pretty straightforward one. But there was one moment where he brings out an inflatable shark and Brad gets very scared. And I thought that was cute.
Uh-huh. And he brings out the little inner tube and he's like, here's one of these things. I don't know what they're called. And I don't really know what they're called either.
Like the swim rings or whatever, the arm rings. Yeah.
Yeah. A very human moment, though, as Jim was like, interesting.
There's a couple really strong Ernie moments in the things we watched this week.
This was a great Ernie batch. I agree. And I like when Ernie comes in and Bert's like, this is my nephew Brad. Isn't he cute? And Ernie goes, yeah, sure.
Which is hilarious because he looks exactly like Bert.
Yeah.
Then we had the Forgetful Jones segment that Sam mentioned earlier, where Forgetful does get to see Big Bird, but immediately forgets him.
Snuffy. He gets to see Snuffy.
Oh, right.
Everybody gets to see Big Bird.
That's true. That's not special. He gets to see Snuffy and immediately forgets that he saw Snuffy. And so Bob's like, yeah, right. Nobody saw Snuffy.
I was surprised to see that Forgetful lives on Sesame Street.
He does feel like he exists maybe only in the, cowboy world.
Yeah, but I guess his horse has lived on Sesame Street before. We've seen, I don't remember, him and Sheriff Grover's horse were hanging out and singing with Gladys.
That's true.
I think.
Yeah.
So I guess that makes sense. But I kind of love Forgetful Jones, and I wish that maybe he was somebody who stuck around, because you don't really see him anymore, do you?
You do, and he's actually going to be our Muppet of the Week, who is interesting, but also surprisingly not deep. He's around.
Oh, yeah.
Not a lot of depth.
That's these Sesame Street Muppets for
Yeah.
you. Been around for 50 years and nobody knows shit about them.
Yeah. But then we have what I think is our first Monster Piece theater that we get to talk about.
I think we saw we saw like the I Claudius one or whatever. Remember that?
Okay, yes, vaguely. Yes,
Yeah.
okay. So maybe not our first one here, but I did put in my notes, don't want to say that with certainty, and that's exactly why. Because all this stuff just goes through my brain like a colander. And this one is Chariots of Fur. Two friends helping each other race down a beach. And it seems like they filmed a lot of running material. Because oh boy, does this go on for a very long time as Harry and Grover are running together down the beach. To be fair, this movie it came out in 1981. So this movie had just come out. And it's pretty straightforward.
It's huge,
yes. Too. And my favorite part is that Harry keeps calling Grover Old Bean.
Yeah, Grover says Harry Old Bean, and Harry says Grover Old Chap, and that's all they call each other the whole time.
Yeah, because it's British. The movie is British, so they're trying to be British.
Right. And at the end, Cookie even says it's a tale of friendship between an old chap and an old bean. But they feel like they're gonna they kind of feel like they're mad at each other to me. Like that they're gonna the way that they call each other, old chap and old bean. It's like when you're like, hey bud, or like, hey pal, what's going on?
Man.
Like Grover specifically is mad at Harry. He's gonna start punching him or something.
That might be just a Frank thing.
I
I feel like Frank has a lot of confrontational characters.
That's true. But it was also kind of like, it was like one of those weirdly satisfying videos on YouTube to see their little feet running through the sand.
Yeah.
And to know that somebody had Grover's feet on sticks and was just going.
Yeah, I just imagine two people out there like doing that little like, you know, the Charlie Chaplin like rolls on the forks routine at the, or Buster Keaton, whoever it was, one of those two.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's mostly just them running. Nothing funny really happens. It just exists for the visual homage. The one note that I put down is Harry's shirt does not fit his weird arms at all.
Nothing fits him.
He is sewn in a way that T-shirts and whatever shouldn't be on that body. And they just like sort of shoved a shirt on him and his arms are like little penguin flippers on the side of him.
It's so weird that they never just went back and said, we got to give this guy arms. Why wouldn't they just give him arms?
And then comes the part where I did feel, this is when I started to feel a little bad for Gordon because they show everyone waiting on him in the park. And I think it's maybe Susan who says, where's Gordon? He's so far behind.
Yeah, I think that is who says that.
I
wrote that line down too.
I also wrote in my notes here, Gordon's dressed like Mario.
I did not notice.
He has sort of like this like
mean?
blue shorts, blue tank top over a red T-shirt thing that looks like he's wearing like a romper, like a onesie kind of thing over
like a sexy Mario costume you'd buy at Halloween.
Yeah, but it's really just man in the early '80s running. But yeah, I was distracted by his slight Mario cosplay.
I don't remember what there was a lot of great fashion in these episodes, and I don't remember what he looked like, but I did write Luis looks cool as fuck. So he must have been looking really cool.
He's not even the focus of the scene, so yeah, he must have looked cool enough to drag
he drew my eye.
But yeah, this is when Gordon is revealing that he is getting hurt. And this is also the part where Big Bird asks the humans, did you see Snuffy? And they yell, of course not.
It didn't even occur to me that very, very tiny child that Big Bird takes with him has a full conversation with Snuffy. I guess I just forgot that kids see Snuffy.
Kids see Snuffy, and now some other Muppets are starting to see Snuffy, so they're extremely slowly introducing the concept of people seeing Snuffy.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is also one of those, another moment where Big Bird, who again is 6, is like, hey, can I take this like 4-year-old with me and we're going to go look for Snuffy? And the adults are just like,
Central Park
yeah, whatever.
in New York in the early 80s.
yeah, sure, whatever. Take him, go.
Big Bird, I did notice that Snuffy seems really stupid in this season, like in a lot of the episodes we saw, and Big Bird seems smarter, which is like a flip from how I think of it usually.
Yeah, I do feel like there was things we saw in the past where Snuffy was helping Big Bird figure things out. Like Big Bird would bring problems to him, and he'd be like, well, what if it's this bird? And he's like, oh, you're a genius, Snuffy.
Right.
But yeah, this is definitely a lot more of Snuffy not even knowing what a stop sign really is for, and Big Bird being a little bit more of his like Big Bird in China Don't Eat the Pictures version of Big Bird, where he's definitely smartened up a little bit. Remember how goofy he was in season 1?
Yeah,
like,
when his voice literally sounded like Goofy.
Hi, Gordon!
I like it when you do.
Yeah. Then, as I wrote in my notes, hell yeah, love a guy smiley.
Even if it's from 20 years ago, it's still okay.
We get a Say the Word segment. Where we get to see Maurice Monster, a character I did not know existed and does exist beyond this sketch.
Is this an old sketch or was
this is
new?
older? Yeah, this is from episode 1373. This is from season 11, so 1980.
Oh,
so
okay.
just a few years before. And yeah, the theme of this episode is really stop and run. The two things they really try to reiterate. They have all the running with the marathon. They have the stop sign with Snuffy. They had the run with the two-headed monster. This one is trying to get the words stop and run out. And yeah, it's interesting to see how they're able to pull from their old library of things to be like, okay, we want to make an episode about running and stopping. All right, I'll be back in a week with all these clips for you. But yeah, in this one, it's just like the game show Password, where they're just trying to give hints to get the other person to guess the word. And in this one, Chester's trying to get Maurice Monster to guess the word stop. And so he starts tickling him, which,
I guess.
Yeah.
could just say the opposite of go. That's what I would have done.
That feels like cheating. I know it's probably not, but like saying
I think it's
the opposite of something feels like cheating in that.
Maybe it is, but I don't know.
I guess
That's
they
what I
also
would've
probably
done.
wouldn't have things like stop as a clue on actual passwords.
That's true. Yeah. But we'll see Maurice again, huh?
Yeah, I almost made him the Muppet of the Week because he has more information on his page, I think, than Forgetful does for some reason. But yeah, he sticks around for a while and even appeared as recently as 2017.
Wow.
So Maurice is still out there with his giant-ass nose, which that one nose freak would love.
Yeah, he'd like to get his hands on that one.
But then Gordon finishes last in the marathon, or next to last, because Snuffy eventually will finish it. I noted at this point that Gordon's bib number in the marathon is 123.
Snuffy was number 2. Does that mean he signed up second for the marathon?
Maybe. He was really on top of things.
Then he forgot all about it.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's why. He signed up when it was first available, and that was a year beforehand.
Yeah,
I'm signed up for a race in January of next year. You think I'm going to remember that?
Wow, you're going to race? Where
Yeah.
are you going to race? Central Park Marathon?
Disneyland.
Whoa.
Doing a Disneyland 10K in January.
That's cool.
Yeah. Never done a 10K. Hope I survive.
So now we know where Matt's going to be in January.
Yeah, when there's a weird...
wants to go get him.
I'll be running real fast. Try and catch
track
me.
him down.
And this is another point where Maria wants to believe Big Bird so badly.
Yeah, a lot of good face acting as he's talking about Snuffy.
But she gets talked out of it by the other adults.
Do you know who sees him first, Snuffy?
I think it's everyone at the same time.
Okay.
I
hope it would be her.
And maybe there is moments that I don't know about, but I know there's a famous clip of like all the adults lined up in a row, and it's like this like boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, like reveal shot where they're all just like shocked that they're actually seeing Snuffleupagus. So I don't know if anyone sees him before that or not. I have to imagine if one of them saw him, they would hopefully believe the adults at least.
Yeah, if I just wanted like an episode where Maria's like got to eat crow and go around and be like, guys, he was right.
Well, there's one episode apparently in
is.
season 15 where Gordon is playing the flute, a thing he apparently does. And while doing so, somebody else in the distance starts playing a flute duet with him, and it's Snuffy. But Gordon's like, oh, that must be Big Bird. It's coming from that way.
That's
and
beautiful.
Then he's playing the flute again, and Big Bird like walks by, and he's like, huh? And
I like that.
yeah, and there's another one in this season where a giant trash can appears on Sesame Street because I want to look at the language here. Basically, Snuffy was supposed to take out the trash for his mom, and he just forgot. Like he got bored or forgot halfway through taking out the trash, where he's like, I don't want to finish that. And so he leaves the giant Snuffleupagus trash can on Sesame Street.
He's got to drag it to Sesame Street.
And Oscar's like, I'm moving in there. That place looks awesome. And everyone else is like, where the hell did this giant trash can come from? But then the episode wraps up as Big Bird's waiting for Snuffy. It's nighttime. Susan and Gordon come back to pick him up because they're like, hey, you know what? We've decided it's too late for you to be out here as a 6-year-old.
Be in Central Park in the middle of the night. Very dangerous.
Yeah, in the early 80s especially. But they decide to let him wait a little bit longer, but they're going to pull over and sleep in the car. Also seems maybe unsafe as a choice.
Not good, yeah. Not clear if you can even drive your car there.
There's some roads, I think, that go maybe around.
I feel like those are
also,
just for like
you know what,
park
Sam?
carts,
There's a good chance they're not in Central Park, and we're just too dumb about New York to know.
I guess so. It seemed like they were to me.
Yeah. That's just a big park in New York is probably why.
Okay, we're not going to get into it. I think they were at Central Park.
All right. I will trust you.
I've been to Central Park, Matt.
I mean, I haven't, so you win.
I would know it if I saw it, my friend.
You still seem pretty unsure, though.
I don't know, but I think it was.
But yes, once Snuffy finally does arrive, Gordon and Susan have fallen asleep. And instead of waking them up, they decide to push the car back to Sesame Street.
This was fucking weird.
Very
Why
weird.
Why did they do this?
I don't know. And Gordon and Susan don't question it, which, like, Gordon should be like, did I drive home and not remember?
Do you see him wake up? You never see him wake up, do you?
I don't think so. But the fact that that has to have happened at some point.
Right.
He's going to wake up and be like, how did we get here?
Did Big Bird push our car home? How strong is Big Bird? Yeah. Should I be worried about how strong Big Bird is?
There's a point at this where Big Bird also falls asleep. And he's got the cutest little snoring noises that sound just like Donald Duck.
We've seen him do that before, I think, right? He does that every time he sleeps, I think, yeah. But the pushing the car thing was such a weird way to end it, where the writers, it's like you didn't have to write it that way, so that they had to push the car at the end. You could have done anything else.
Right, like they could have, Snuffy and Big Bird could have decided to let them sleep there and just walk back to Sesame Street. And then Gordon and Susan could wake up the next day in the middle of Central Park confused. It's just the times where Big Bird decides to not wake somebody up or let them know Snuffy's right here is like a little too much for me to suspend my disbelief. So moving on to the November 24th, 1983 episode. This one aired on Thanksgiving and is episode 1839, the one that deals with the death of Mr. Hooper. This was apparently one that for obvious reasons, the Sesame team had a hard time figuring out what they were going to do with this one because they didn't want to say, Mr. Hooper moved away. They didn't want to say he went on vacation. They wanted to do something that wouldn't lead to the wrong kind of follow-up questions or too many follow-up questions that people just couldn't answer. And so they were advised to take the direct approach after working with a bunch of child psychologists. And apparently because children don't understand words like passing away, that's why they took the direct approach and were like, Mr. Hooper died. Boom, end of sentence. And they were...
And Willie had died like the year before? Is that right?
Like a year or year and a half or so beforehand. So he was in the previous season, I believe, but then died before they started making this one. And apparently they were purposeful about making this happen on Thanksgiving because they wanted it to be a time where adults would be around to help the children understand. So that way, the kids weren't just sitting there by themselves, not having any adults to turn to and ask follow-up questions or sent off to school and been good luck. So they purposely chose it over a holiday weekend so that the parents could talk to their kids about it.
That's really smart.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I will say is I'm kind of surprised at how little the episode deals with it.
Yeah. Almost to the point where, I thought maybe I was watching the wrong episode or something. But...
Yeah, it does not come up until very late in the episode. I think they do handle it extremely well, but it is bizarre that there's no hints that that's what this episode is going to be about before it gets to that scene, the famous scene where he presents the drawing of Mr. Hooper. There's no earlier reference to Big Bird going to draw pictures of everyone on the street. There's no reference to Mr. Hooper's store. There's no reference to anything that
They're even standing outside of Hooper's store in one of the skits.
Yeah. And so it seems like the way they address it is that they've already had this conversation once. It's as if they told Big Bird a few weeks ago, hey, Mr. Hooper died. And he was like, okay, I don't really understand that. I'll be back. And then this one is when they have to deal with it again where he's like, oh, shit, he didn't get it the first time we told him.
Yeah, which is smart because it makes it so that the grown-ups don't have to be grieving him really necessarily.
Right, because they're obviously sad. They're legitimately crying by the end of it.
Yeah.
But it did not happen yesterday. But before we get into that, at the beginning, we do see Forgetful Jones back on Sesame Street, just having a casual conversation with Gordon.
Yeah.
And, Forgetful's happy, but can't remember why he's happy, which, that seems like an ideal situation to be just accept I'm happy. I don't remember why, but I'm just going to accept that I'm happy right now.
But Gordon has to pick it apart.
But yeah, Gordon asks him, is it the sunshine, the breeze, the swaying trees, the sound of your heartbeat? And I'm like, that's a deep one to...
You're getting weird.
Yeah. Does the sound of your heartbeat make you happy? Because you know you're alive?
And Forgetful Jones wants the conversation to end, so he's just like, yeah, that's what it was all of what you said. It was everything combined.
Anything you say, Gordon.
Have you ever met me before? I don't fucking remember.
Yeah, we just get the Memento Forgetful Jones movie.
Yeah, but it would be annoying to be... Well, I guess he doesn't remember that he doesn't remember. But if he did remember that he didn't remember, it'd be really annoying to have everybody be like, don't you remember? No, it's my name.
Yeah, why do you think they call me this? I don't remember, but you would assume it's probably because I forget things.
Yeah, don't be mad at me because I forgot. Please.
Then we get a delightful song that is actually from episode 1644 called Fuzzy and Blue, parentheses, and Orange, where Grover, Harry, and Cookie Monster are singing a song about how great it is to be fuzzy and blue. But then the worst Muppet has to show up and ruin everything.
Bad. He's so bad.
Here comes Frazzle, the orange monster, who is the worst and just genuinely terrifying, and I hate him.
You think he's the worst because he's fucking scary? Is that why?
I think he's
the
just
worst?
a little unsettling.
Yeah.
And apparently, at some point, we find out that Frazzle has a pet human.
Ew.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. That raises too many questions about the world of Sesame Street. But he has a pet human named Pickles that he keeps on a leash.
No, he doesn't.
I can send you a photo right now from Muppet
I'm seeing
Wiki.
it already.
Yeah. He looks so sad.
What the hell?
Pickles looks unhappy about this arrangement.
In 1993?
Yeah.
And they wouldn't let him get a room at the Fuzzy Arms Hotel
You
because
couldn't
they
have
had a pet
pets.
human. You can't have humans there. That's scary because he's a big monster and he could say, "You're my pet now, or I will kill you."
Yeah. I don't like Frazzle already. Like, just him as a character I don't like everything he's ever done. But every picture of him on Muppet Wiki is terrifying.
Yeah.
And the fact that he has a pet human doesn't help.
He just doesn't look like he's alive in a way that other Muppets do. I think his eye. There's something wrong with like.
You know what he looks
his whole
like?
face.
He looks
What?
like the disguised people in the Roger Moore episode.
Yeah, he does.
Like when the Frackles disguise themselves as like
As his
stuffed
cute bunnies and
animals
stuff.
to
Right.
kill Roger Moore.
Like he's got a head on top of his real head that he could pull off.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I don't like him.
Also, this song made me think that somebody was just like, "Oh shit, we made too many blue guys. I guess we should write a song about it."
We gotta hang a lantern on this and make sure people know
Really?
that we know.
There really are a lot of blue guys.
But this is one of those where it's like I like seeing the characters kind of be friends.
Yeah, me too.
And seeing Harry, Cookie Monster, and Grover be able to get together and be like, all right, we're all going to rehearse. We got this song about how cool we are, and let's go.
Yeah, it reminded me of that album where Harry has a motorcycle and
Yeah.
a sidecar that has Cookie Monster and Grover in
Yeah.
it. It's like, you weirdos.
There's a part in there that I was like, hard to understand in this terrible quality video that we watched on. But I'm pretty sure Cookie Monster says, all this fuzzy and blue make me hungry for blanket.
Yeah, that's what I think he said too.
And I'm like, okay, I know you eat a lot of random stuff, but like, it's a weird line to just randomly include in this song.
And doesn't like rhyme with anything. It doesn't have to be in the song, I
No.
don't think.
It's just like somebody thought like, hey, blankets are kind of fuzzy and blue, but it's like he could have easily just been like, all this fuzzy and blue making me hungry to eat Grover. Like,
No, you shouldn't say that. But it is like, there's literally nothing else fuzzy and blue except a blanket and then Grover, Cookie Monster, and Harry in the whole world.
I guess.
So you just didn't have to include that.
No.
Pretty much.
Then we get an interesting scene that doesn't seem like much when you first watch it, but at the very end, it does end up mattering more. And this is Gordon watching Big Bird walk backwards with his head between his legs. And when you think about it, it's just Carol Spinney, like, putting his arm down by his ankle.
Yeah.
Gordon is like, why are you doing that? And he says, just because. And that's the reason Big Bird gives. And that's kind of all this is about. Like, you just see Big Bird doing weird kid stuff. And Gordon's like, why are you doing that? He's like, just because. And it's like, okay, not a big deal. They move on. You do get to see Big Bird's butt legs, which I don't love. You get to see Carol Spinney's butt, like the butt of his pants, of his orange Big Bird leg pants. And the fact that he's bent over and you can see a butt underneath where
That the legs don't connect at two different places like other birds do. Yeah.
that there is a connective butt underneath where you would think Big Bird's butt would be.
They could have give him a little diaper just for that one scene that goes right between the legs.
But yeah, that was the only part of that on first watch I was like, yeah, I don't like seeing that. Stop it. Then we have a brief Muppet segment where a large lavender live hand anything Muppet is just closing everything from books and windows and doors, and then shows some magic powers and closes a drawer just by pointing at it.
And then he must be stopped.
Yeah. And they drag him away.
Yeah. They seal his mouth shut, right? With a big sticker.
They close his mouth, yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have another bit that's cut out of the Noggin version, maybe because it's also raising too many questions and they didn't want to deal with too many They didn't want to deal with sex questions and death questions at the same time.
Yeah, this one's wild.
So there's a cartoon about how do frogs make more frogs? Because a parent and a child are walking through a park, see some frogs, and the kid asks. And they show a whole animation of the birth and growth of frogs, including showing a female frog release her eggs and a male frog come over and presumably release his sperm on the eggs.
Exactly. Because frogs are a pretty safe one because they do not have sex. So
yeah, well, and they just sort of like, there's a frog comes over and eggs spill out, and then the frog comes over and like a bubble wraps around the eggs.
And they skip that one when they're explaining.
Yeah, they don't say
egg,
what is happening.
Egg, then tadpole.
Yeah.
They skip straight to it.
They don't say the word sperm on Sesame Street.
No.
Probably ever. I'd be willing to bet some money on that one. But yeah, I thought that was it was interesting, and it really bizarrely ends with the grown-up frog yelling, "Hey, Kermit!"
That was really weird. Yeah.
It was just whoever animated.
You know, Kermit, you just were born.
Well, yeah, and it feels like whoever animated that one was like, I know how I'll get it on Sesame Street. I'll reference their frog.
I mean, I feel like they're commissioned and they will be on Sesame Street one way or the other.
Maybe, right? I don't know. I mean, presumably, there's some weird animation though in what we watched this week.
You think sometimes they were just getting mailed reels?
I mean, maybe.
What is this nightmare?
There's got to be some people pitching to them, some spec script kind of things.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Then we have a bit from season 7, which is a Sesame Street news flash, where Kermit is watching over a princess picking a prince out of a batch of other whatnot Muppets, and she eventually decides, you know what? I want this frog.
Yeah, Kermit's a sexy one. She's known the whole time. She's just playing with them.
She's like, I want a prince with bulging eyes and a funny voice and no ears.
Ears, yeah.
Kermit takes way too long to figure it out, but
by the time she says ears so small you can't see them, he should maybe start being like, okay, I guess I'm the only one with no ears.
I like when they described like the bulging eyes, and there was like the Muppets with the really tiny eyes that you like never ever see. And like, I guess I'm out. There's a short film segment where a boy visits the hospital to see his mother's new baby. And really, there's only like the only reason I want to bring this up is because one, that baby would be 45 years old now.
Oh gosh.
Because this is initially from episode 1125. And I was just like, oh boy, that baby is a 45-year-old man now. But also, they just like let the kid name the other kid.
Oh, I missed that.
Because the little brother, the big brother is named Jamie, and they're like, hey, look, it's your little brother. Da-da-da. What do you want to name him? And he's like, Mark. And they're like, yeah, Mark sounds great. And I'm like,
oh, well, he picked a good name.
Yeah, but he could have said Frankenstein or anything. And they'd be like, ah, shit.
No.
And speaking of babies, this is when Big Bird hears the adults having the conversation about Mr. and Mrs. Williams' new baby, another baby who would be 40 years old now.
Yeah.
This is, at first he just looks at the camera and is like, hey, I got a fun idea. How about we go watch the grown-ups for a while? And immediately realizes adults are boring.
Yeah, which was really, I can remember being a child and how boring grown-ups were. And especially, like, I have some friends with kids, and when we're, like, yucking it up, I always think, like, this is the most bored this child has ever been.
I'm realizing this, this literally happened to me last night. I was at a friend's house. There was 5 of us there, and their kid is 6 years old, same as Big Bird. And there was a few moments where he was chilling at the table with us, talking with us. But most of the time he was like, yeah, I'm going to go play with marbles. This sucks. So I get it. We were the boring adults. But yeah, Big Bird, even when they're talking about the new baby coming home, he has to stand on one leg to make it interesting. And then David mentions that they want to talk about politics, and that's when Big Bird leaves, saying not even standing on one leg could make that interesting. We get another repeat thing here that we've seen before. It's odd that, like, again, I know they repeat a lot of things, but the fact that we have seen, 30 episodes of Sesame Street, and we've seen so many repeated things is kind of wild.
Yeah, it really is, like, how many cartoons they had made right at the beginning, or like how many shorts they filmed right at the beginning, and then just reran them forever and ever. Well, and it's kind of sad a little bit because it's like, man, make some more cartoons, guys.
Well, and especially when we watch the like best of playlists, I realized how many new things they were making for those seasons that just don't happen to be in the episodes we end up watching.
Right. That's true.
And I also had the realization this week of, most little kids, they want to watch Frozen 25 times in a row.
Yeah.
They don't mind watching things on repeat.
Their favorite little thing comes back on. Right.
So if they, watch Sesame Street, they're begging their parents, like, when can I see Bert and John John? And it's like, I don't know, probably 3 weeks from now. It'll probably come back.
Yeah.
And now we are at the scene where Big Bird gives his friends the pictures he drew of them, pictures that Carol Spinney actually drew of all the humans there on Sesame Street. And this is when he finds out that, Mr. Hooper is no longer around to give the picture to. David is still talking about politics when Big Bird first comes in. He's talking about a candidate that's against big spending, big business, and inflation.
I'm trying to figure out what political party this person would fall into. Because against big spending, I guess it would be maybe just like your traditional Democrat who doesn't do a lot of like social spending and stuff like that. Maybe they don't fund programs like they should.
Well, I think it's also vague enough because just against big spending, big business, and inflation, like I'd say against big business leans a little more left.
Yeah.
But like against inflation isn't really a stance politically. You're like, oh yeah, inflation's not great.
You don't want to have happen. That's true.
So yeah, I think they purposefully don't try to paint David into a corner.
So big spending leans one way, big business leans the other way.
Yes.
Inflation right down the middle.
Right.
But
yeah, Big Bird drew these pictures for seemingly no real reason other than he was bored.
And they're great.
Yeah. They're like caricatures, but nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is where, I think it's handled very well, but the adults take their time and they explain to Big Bird that Mr. Hooper has died. He is not coming back because when they first tell him he died, he's like, oh, okay, well, I'll give it to him when he comes back.
I'll catch him on the flip side.
And I'm surprised at how I have seen clips from this in documentaries. I think they show it in the 50th anniversary thing. I think they show it in the Street Gang. I think they show it in the I Am Big Bird. Like this is a very important clip to Sesame Street. But I never watched the entire thing all the way through. And so seeing how slow they take it and how many moments of just silence there are as like the adults are like, who's going to get up and talk to him? Gordon, do you want to go do that? And he does. I was surprised by how many slow, drawn out moments there were.
Yeah, and then Bob's like crying at the end of it.
Yeah, they apparently could only do like one take of this, they said. It's because like everyone was actually so genuinely emotional that like they couldn't do it again in the same kind of convincing way. And because there's moments in here where Big Bird just sort of like loses it a little bit and is like, well, why? Like, why does this happen? And this is where the moment from earlier comes back and Gordon walks over and says, just because.
Yeah.
And that was when I was like, oh, shit, you guys did
I
it.
didn't put that together like you did. Yeah. That's smart. It's crazy to think about how long they have been working with each other and then how much longer they will all be working with each other. It's like, it feels like for people to be on a kid show for this long and just like devote their whole lives to it. I guess I think of like Blue's Clues and stuff where the hosts rotate out so much, or like other kid shows where it's like, kind of seems like the point of being on a kid show for some of these people is like to get famous enough to like jump to the next thing. But these are just people who like did this forever.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you got to think about it, they've been doing this for 15 years.
Yeah.
At this point. And, most of them stick around for another like 30 years.
Yeah.
So crazy. Yeah, kind of wild that they are going to work together for like 45 years.
Do they ever address the death of anybody else on the show? They must not, or we'd hear about it.
Yeah, I don't think so
maybe
because
not that many people have died.
Yeah, I don't know who all has died. I think maybe only Bob and Luis, and they just died.
They didn't do Willie the hot dog man. He died.
Well, yeah, they didn't. I don't think they had a special episode for Willie, unfortunately. Yeah. I mean, honestly, maybe they do. Maybe they have some reference to Willie when he passes away, but that's that's in 2008 when Kermit Love dies. So we're a little ways off from discussing when that happens.
That's crazy. He's got such a big white beard. I thought he was like 100 years old already.
I mean, he was like 90 something when he died. So
he got a big white beard early. Was that a fake big white beard?
No.
Wow.
I mean,
good for him.
he was in his 50s when he was on Sesame Street, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
People just look different at 50 back then. Like, we're almost 50 in some ways.
I mean, but in many ways, not.
But in others, we are.
But at the end of the episode, we find that Big Bird has hung up the drawing of Mr. Hooper by his nest, and it will stay there forever? I don't know.
Forever?
It's probably
Still
there. It's in the Lego set.
It's in that Lego set. Yeah, exactly. We're losers.
And this is at the end of the episode where Leandro is there, and this is the baby that they, the new Williams baby, who is extremely scared of everything that's happening around him. He's looking around like, that's a giant-ass bird. What is happening?
I guess there's giant birds in the world. This is my reality.
Yeah.
I don't even know what a bird is, but here one is.
And so, yeah, now the episode ends in a way that does seem sort of random because there's just a baby here. But it does seem like it's there to, draw balance to, like, yes, our friend Mr. Hooper is gone. He will not be coming back. But look, new friends pop out all the time.
Yeah, because Big Bird's like, yeah, he was here, now he's gone. And then the baby was not here, and now he is here. It's just how it works, and nobody knows why. I liked in between the Mr. Hooper and the baby thing, they played the saddest shorts ever, too, where like there's literally a flower crying, like a real flower, just like dripping water out of it. And then that cartoon character who's like picking flowers and killing them.
Yep. They chose a weird tonal shift there at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we also watched a bunch of other random stuff that we're not going to talk about every single one of the things we watched here, but we did watch a bunch of clips from the classic cuts on the DVD, some other random episodes that I sent Sam to watch, and the best of season 15 playlist. So we watched the I Don't Want to Live on the Moon song from Ernie, which was from episode 1910 from March 2nd, 1984. This is a very famous Ernie song, and the song appeared years earlier on an album, but this is the first time it was in an episode with actual, puppetry attached to it. And yeah, this is just a very sweet song about Ernie wanting to visit the moon, but he misses friends too much, so he doesn't want to stay.
Yeah, and it feels like they were like, this is a banger song, so we're gonna make a really good puppet segment for it. Because there's full body Ernie, he's swimming around in the ocean, he's sitting up on the moon. They really they outdid themselves, and it's great. I
also like that I didn't expect it to go towards he also wants to travel under the sea, but doesn't want to live there. I was like, oh, I thought this was just gonna be a moon-based song.
He wants to get out of his humdrum life, but he feels too guilty leaving Bert.
Well, he also has the harsh line where he says, "An oyster and clam aren't real family."
Well, he's not wrong.
Yeah,
in Sesame Street world, actually, they could.
Right,
be.
That was my thing. Is like there's lots of like weird alive Muppets in the world of Sesame Street. So the fact
got
that
a
you
little
just
clam puppet in the bottom, be like, hey,
I heard that.
And it also is like he waits till Bert falls asleep before he starts to be like profound. It's like I can stop being annoying now.
Like, Bert, you awake? No. All right, I can be real now. I don't need to be obnoxious anymore. Then from April 4th, 1984, we watched some clips from the episode in 1933, which is all about the new computer in town. Apparently everyone chipped in to buy a computer for Sesame Street, plopped it in the library. But some people on Sesame Street, like Big Bird and Stuffy, don't even know what a computer is.
Doesn't seem like anybody's really that sure of what a computer is.
No, they're kind of bullshitting their way as they're like reading the manual. They're like, I don't know, Big Bird's this thing. Look at it. That's the computer.
Which I remember that kind of thing where like my dad bought a new computer, like seeing him set it up and us all just being like, whoa, what the hell
what does this thing do?
It felt very much like for real, none of the people playing that computer together were like, this is the first time I've ever touched one. Yeah. So I don't really know.
We get multiple references in this to the adults just having no real clue what they can do. They know the basics, but they don't really know why they bought it, I think, other than it's new and exciting.
It seems like Telly has a better grasp on it than anybody.
I was actually very impressed by Telly's use of the computer.
Yeah.
But this is when Snuffy's like, do you think this would be a good time to meet your friends, Bird? And Big Bird's like, nah, why bother? Something will go wrong. It always does.
I really, really like that.
So
it was such a flimsy excuse, but it was really funny.
Well, because he like takes a beat and he's like, nah. So they just stand in the doorway looking over, it's Maria, Bob, and Olivia, right? Yeah, as they put together the computer and figure it out. and Snuffy just stands slightly outside because he can't fit through the door, and Big Bird just repeats everything for him.
Mm-hmm.
They get very excited because
Snuffy could say hello.
Yes, he could literally say
all their problems.
anything, and they would turn around. But they get very excited because they learn how to put a disc in and close the door and hit the return key. And it pops up on the screen saying, "Welcome to the wonderful world of computers."
Yeah, and that disc that says just that probably costs like $125.
Yeah. But the more fascinating thing, I think, is what happens next, where we find out that Oscar the Grouch has his own personal computer.
It is not user-friendly.
It's user grouchy.
User grouchy.
Yeah, it's a Grouch computer. It's a Worm 2, he says. And when he turns it on, because Bob doesn't believe him that it's a Grouch computer, he's like, "That's just a computer, Oscar. It looks pretty
Even though
much
it's clearly
like
a
ours."
computer made of like paper mache together from trash.
Yeah, Bob's just like, "Well, the keyboard looks like ours. It's a little bigger. The monitor looks like ours. Just a little bigger." It's like, yeah, because they put cardboard on the outside, Bob. It is the same computer.
They can only afford the one.
But the way that Oscar proves it is a Grouch computer is he turns it on, and up on the screen pops a few different wallpapers. One that just says, "Get lost." Another one says, "Go away." And another one that says, "Keep your hands off my computer." And that means you, which are wallpapers that we should definitely recreate and share on Twitter.
For sure. They're great. I wouldn't want to really look at Oscar's computer. I don't think I would like what he was looking at. He's blasting his cache every single time he's done.
The moment something happens, somebody comes to get, like, "So, like, what horrible, murderous things were you Googling today, Oscar?" And he just smashes his computer. He's like, "You'll never know." Telly is extremely overwhelmed by the concept of a computer. And this is not a dig. I just want to say, genuinely, I do think Telly needs therapy. As somebody who is in therapy, benefits greatly from it, I would say I think Telly, of any of the Muppets, needs some therapy.
His problems are a little more realistic than a lot of Muppets' problems.
In a way that he should be talking to somebody who isn't just Maria saying, "I don't know what the hell you're doing. Stop it."
Maria handles him pretty well, though.
She's a good friend, but your friends can't be your therapists. So I think they need to bring in somebody in a more official capacity to help out Telly.
Yeah.
But they pull up an image of a face, and they're playing some sort of game where you can change features on a human face.
The thing that impressed me about this was that it looked like a real game that they had maybe made for this.
Yeah, I have to assume it's something that already existed. I don't think Sesame Workshop's spending the money to create a computer game in 1983 outside of the games we talked about at the beginning of this episode. But yeah, I don't know what that game would have been. Maybe somebody out there can tell us.
Face Maker, probably.
I mean, that's probably what it would have been called.
Yeah.
Doc would have owned it on Fraggle Rock. There was a game called Face Maker, but it didn't look like that. It looked slightly different, weirdly enough. The box art is amazing.
Oh.
You see the guys at the ladder putting the things on the face?
Yes.
That's great art. Man, video game art used to be so good in a way that was like, well, our game looks like shit, so let's make a good,
the
good
most
art.
Beautiful cover we can make, yeah.
But Telly does rightfully say, computers will be the thing of the future, Maria.
He knew what he was talking about. And I like that Telly's the one who gets to say that, too, because he's the one who's addicted to TV. So he's kind of on the cutting edge of this sort of thing.
He's like, I am going to be so addicted to this. They're going to change my name to Nettie in 10 years. Then we move on to the May 8th, 1984 Election Day episode. These are clips from episode 1957. Big Bird wants to introduce Snuffy to people. He finally decides, you know what? Today's the day. But nobody's around because they're all busy voting.
Yeah.
Olivia and David take Big Bird to the polling station to show him what it means to vote. And this would have been just after the New York primary in 1984. So this is the election that Reagan won in a landslide. So they would have been voting in that primary probably in this episode. And yeah, this is Big Bird goes to get Snuffy. And of course, everyone left in the meantime, even though he very clearly said what he was doing. Like, they could have, Olivia could have waited for him.
She, of anybody, doesn't have time for that kind of thing. She hates living on Sesame Street.
But David is there when they get back, although he's still voting and doesn't want to be distributed.
He won't even peek his head out.
He sticks his hand out to gesticulate as he's talking to them, but he won't poke his head out to freaking just see Snuffy. And of course, when they walk in, the woman running the polling station and the security guard who's there
looking at a piece of paper.
Yeah,
or
she's like,
something.
hey, security guard, will you come over here and help me look at this piece of paper? And so nobody sees Snuffy. But David does yell at Big Bird because Big Bird's like, we're here to vote. He's like, you can't vote, Big Bird.
You're a baby.
You have to be 18 and registered.
And you're an animal. I'm not
Yeah,
really
but
sure how that even
he doesn't
works.
mention that part. But Big Bird says, well, I know what 18 is, but what's registered? But yes, other than that, we did watch this best of season 15 playlist, which is a ton of stuff. That is, again, one of the best ways to watch some Sesame Street of the era is to find these playlists.
I think the downside of them is that they don't have street scenes generally. But
Yeah, it feels like we're missing a lot. And also, as we saw, like I pulled out those previous clips we just talked about because they were not in this playlist, but they seem like pretty important milestones in season 15 of Sesame Street. So, yeah. So the first one of note here is the Monster on the Spot, where Telly is a reporter now, trying to steal Kermit's gig. This is from episode 1850. And he goes to a school to, teach us all about what school is.
I guess I got to assume that one of the overarching themes of this season was learning about what school is.
I mean, I would hope so. Even just in a lot of the things we watched here, it seems like, the two big things of the season, school and cavemen.
But a lot of incorrect information about cavemen.
I mean, yeah. They're not teaching about actual cavemen. They're teaching about cartoon cavemen.
Yeah. The Flintstones.
Yes.
Getting ready to watch the Flintstones.
Yes.
I really want to talk about this because I didn't think Telly was very good at this. It was boring.
No, this is the first Monster on the Spot segment, something that somehow they keep going until at least 2017. He keeps doing Monster on the Spot things all the way up until the HBO years, so maybe he gets better at that. But, yeah, the kids here never show up, and Telly has to stretch for time by describing everything in the first grade classroom because he's timed this all wrong, even more wrong than he realizes because he is a day early for the first day of school.
Yeah, and I guess it's useful to have desks described to you if you're a baby. But
Right.
not me. I know what they are.
Yeah, but if you're a kid going to your first day of school, it is nice to have like here's what you're going to see. Here's a pencil sharpener.
Yeah, Telly
here's
told me about this.
Yeah, my old pal Telly.
But it maybe also made me anxious because I hated the first day of school. So I was just thinking about like, oh,
See, I was always excited. I was like, I got to show off my cool new backpack and my starter jacket that I got.
I never thought about that. I just wanted to stay home and have fun.
Yeah, I just wanted to go show off all my cool stuff. Then Ernie gets a nice little cute Insects in Your Neighborhood song where, he's just singing about the insects that are crawling around in the park.
He's just splayed out on the grass, lounging.
Full body
which I really
Ernie.
liked. He has his little Chuck Taylor shoes on.
And yeah, it's just like a parody of these are the people in your neighborhood, but it's all about the bugs.
It's like the Weird Al version of it. Yeah. I really, really liked this with the little cute bug puppets who would sing like.
Yeah, the caterpillar is very, very cute and sings along with him. And they do a very good job of like hiding the caterpillar in like a slit cut in the grass material.
That's what they do with all of them, but it is kind of funny by the end. There's so many bugs out that you can see the ground undulating under like all the heads and hands being like, whoa, whoa.
But it's convincing it enough with the first caterpillar.
But then after that, it gets a little nightmarish. But I really liked it. We've never seen him sing People in Your Neighborhood, I don't think, have we?
I don't think so. Then we have what might be my favorite thing we watched in all of this.
Was it the Mexican restaurant?
No, there is a short film in this about a kid who goes to hang out with his parents at their Mexican restaurant. But no, I am talking about the Honker Donkey Dinger Jamboree.
Oh, I hated this shit.
What? How can you hate the Honker Ducky Dinger Jamboree, Sam?
You just hear when you hear the word honker too many times, you start to think about your mind starts to wander.
It's a Ernie song, which sounds close to the Beverly Hillbillies theme song, but just close enough to not be sued, probably.
To not get in trouble, yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, it's a bizarre number where Ernie's just singing about basically like a picnic that they're throwing for honkers, duckies, and dingers. This is the first time we have seen a dinger, I believe.
Oh, it is? Yeah, I think
they were introduced in season 13, but dingers, much like honkers, they got one thing going on. They got a bell on top of their head. Yeah. Honkers have the horn on their face, and apparently duckies can squeak, so they get invited to this party as well.
Even though they're inanimate objects, I assume.
I don't know.
Is he alive? Maybe?
I didn't see any other ducks at this party, so I think it was just maybe Ernie started this to get friends for Rubber Ducky.
Oh, yeah, maybe he did.
I enjoyed it.
Why'd you like this?
I don't know. I enjoyed the chaos in this
cute.
one. We have Grover at the supermarket, as you said in your notes, taking advantage of by other people.
This was my favorite thing in the.
It's very good. It starts off with Grover looking at the camera and saying, "Oh, hello there." And a guy in front of him in line turns around and like, "What?
Huh?
What?" He's like, "Oh, not you." Talking to someone else.
I was speaking to someone else.
And yeah, he's here to explain first and last in line. He's currently last in line, talking about the person who's first in line. And somebody walks up saying, "Oh, I have just one can of tuna for my hungry kitty. Can I please go in front of you?" Grover has a mountain of cans in his hand. Did not get a cart. Made a poor choice.
That happens sometimes. You go in
yeah.
and you're like, I just need one thing. Oh, wait, actually, I need this for a recipe. I need more ketchup.
And then you're like, wait, where is that area where they leave the basket sometimes? Like in the middle of an aisle. That's for me. But yes, so he lets the woman go so she can feed her hungry kitty. But then a man comes up and says, well, I'm late for my pickle party.
Fuck this.
And Grover is far too non-confrontational and nice.
Yeah.
And so, as he says, I would not want you to be late for your pickle party, which is a great
Fair enough.
line.
This is still fine.
Yes. Because, again, Grover has like...
This guy doesn't know that he let the lady come.
No. And Grover has like 20 cans. This guy has one can of pickles, jar of pickles, so it's fine. But then... the guy's like, oh, yeah, by the way, here's my friend with all the other pickle party ingredients. He's going to get in front of you, too.
That was when this guy needs to go to jail.
I don't disagree with you. But Grover's not too mad because it does end with him deciding that he will also go to the pickle party.
Yeah, he's all right. But that's just how Grover rolls. I love when there's ones where it's very subtly preparing you for the frustrations of adulthood.
Yes. Like, because it also
You're gonna be
it does
spending
tell
a lot
you
of
that like you can be nice to some people. Don't be nice to everybody, or you're gonna get taken advantage
Yeah.
of. Don't do it. There's a terrifying animation in this batch about "Don't cross the street alone."
Yeah.
That's just a voice like the one I just did, terrifying kids and scaring them from. It's like literally that of like. The red light means stop, and cars
and then
will...
a bunch of, like, cars go boom, boom, boom. Yeah, Rachel was walking across the room, and when that one came on, she stopped. She's like, Jesus.
Yeah, it's a little much.
Especially to learn that, like, give a little bit of a mixed signal in that one episode where they're telling you not to respect stop signs.
Yeah, they
Maybe
tell
you
us
should
nothing
think
like,
a little bit.
stop signs aren't for you.
Yeah.
Then we get the sneak peek previews where, very odd, Telly and Oscar are movie reviewers watching just 5 dancers dancing.
A creepy movie that looks like David Lynch would make it. There's 5 black and white dancers dancing, and they keep like disappearing into the ground.
Yeah.
Or floating away, and the other ones are like, oh, okay, I guess there's only 3 of us left. Ugh.
This is another thing that somehow kept happening for a long time. They kept doing this on Sesame Street. Once, even with Siskel and Ebert.
Oh, well, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I didn't like this. I didn't think it was very good, but I think in theory it could have been good. I just mostly was just the movie they watched was so weird.
Yeah, there's like not like a clear narrative, which is something that I think they fix later on in versions of this. They
Yeah.
watch something closer to like a Monster Piece Theater kind of bit, where they're watching something that could actually be reviewed by movie reviewers.
Yeah. I was getting so close to saying this is where Mystery Science Theater got the idea. Because I thought they were going to talk over it, but they never ended
Right.
up doing
No,
it.
they respected the art. Then we got the Nose Freak. Big Round Nose song. A good Jim Henson character is here to sing about how much he loves big round noses.
Basically singing I Like Big Butts before
Yeah.
that song existed, except about big old noses.
And it's as if Sir Mix-a-Lot went around pulling the butts off of people that he liked.
And putting them on his own butt.
He's got a super butt by the end where he just pulled all these butts and put them on. 'Cause this man just goes around taking everyone's noses off of their faces and putting them on his like, this is a good nose.
This was Jim, right?
Yeah.
This is a new Jim voice.
It's a little Rolf Dr. Teeth-y, but it's definitely different.
Yeah, could have been a different guy. You wouldn't automatically think he's recycling this voice, but in my opinion, at least.
Yeah.
But the best part of this was at the end when the song is over. All the people in the park scream and run away from this guy.
Yeah, they are terrified. They should have run away sooner when he started tearing noses off of faces.
It was too transfixing, you know? It was just like,
yeah.
oh my God. What does it feel like to get your nose ripped off? I kind of want to know.
And then we get a Caveman Days segment, another thing that they bizarrely did more than once.
I loved this, so I'm glad they did it more than once.
Well, so it seems like a thing that they tried a handful of times and it kept failing. Because they had a segment called Caveman Kingdom before this segment.
Oh, weird.
That they did like 2 or 3 of. And then they did Caveman Days, which they did like another like 3 or 4. And then they did Cave Person Days that they did like another 3 or 4 and then stopped. And so it was just like, okay, yeah, maybe this one isn't long for this world. But this is, this is the quote. The tagline for Caveman Days is the show that lets you see how things were way back when. And this is crossing the street on the way to school with Bert and Ernie.
Ernie is the caveman dad, and Bert is his caveman baby son. And I love in Muppet stuff when because he always refers to him as, okay, my caveman baby son. He just says the full thing every time. I love when they do that.
I kind of wish there was a moment, though, where Bert was like, oh, Ernie, I don't want to do this.
He is into it, though.
Yeah, it seems bizarre. It seems a little out of character for Bert to be so into this idea.
It's not Bert. It's a caveman baby son. These are different guys. This is another crossing the street thing, too, because a dinosaur will step on you. There's still a woman screaming in like complete panic, getting chased by a dinosaur. Great dinosaur legs. But then they're going to cross the street. There's like, gotta be careful from cars, too. And that's when Bert's like,
wait a minute. Cars haven't been invented it's going to take millions of years to get cars.
And then Ernie just says, never mind.
And then, bizarrely, we have not just another first day of school, but also a prehistoric first day of school.
Really, really weird.
That also adds in a newsflash element. So it's like they just took the Bert and Ernie caveman thing and the Telly first day of school thing.
They
and
were
we're like,
those are both bad, but maybe this will be good. And they were right.
Yeah, this is Kermit reporting from the first day ever of school in history. There's a moment in this, which I am sure this isn't what happens. But when Kermit first gets there, it's chaos. All the kids are yelling and screaming and that. I swear, and I think it's just one of those, like, your brain hears what it wants to hear. It sounds like one of the kids says, "Go to hell!"
Oh, Bart Simpson's in the class. Somebody snuck it in there.
And then we get another good Jim Henson character, a little weird pink guy who's extremely...
A child who really likes bells as the character.
I mean, in this one, yes.
Okay.
It's just a little pink whatnot. It's like a male version of Prairie Dawn style kind of puppet who wakes up in the morning and is extremely happy to hear his alarm clock go off.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just happy to be alive that day, but sings about bells and various kinds of bells for what might be too long.
I think it's great. I was happy when they were like, one more time, we got to sing this chorus because the chorus is so good. And the way they bop around, I really like this song.
I was okay with it.
Okay. I like that everybody had sunglasses on too. That was
Yeah, they were
touch.
cool. That's how you
They
know.
were all really cool.
We get a delightful Ernie bit in this next one we watched, which was Bert and Ernie, where Ernie has a surprise for Bert. Something small with 4 legs and is cute. At first, Bert guesses 2 pigeons. He is incorrect because what Ernie has brought him is a real dog.
Puppy, a real cute little puppy. This puppy's 45 years old too.
Well, bad news, Sam.
Okay.
Bert wants to name this dog Norman.
Very Bert, classic Bert name.
Ernie, on the other hand, wants to name this dog Godzilla the Wonder Dog.
You can't just say Godzilla. I feel like Toho comes after you. They're pretty litigious.
This is a different Godzilla.
Oh, yeah.
This is Godzilla the Wonder Dog.
Legally distinct. This is such a weird skit because then it just ends after that.
Yeah, you just get to look at this super bored dog for a while.
Dogs hate Muppets. Nobody hates a Muppet as much as a dog does.
I think they're just very confused.
Yeah.
Like, dogs get confused when you put a hat on. They're like, who's that?
Yeah.
So the fact that, like, they're looking at an almost human, it's got to trip them out a little bit. And they're like, this isn't a toy I can eat. I'm confused.
They don't think anything of them because they can smell that they're not real. So it's impossible for a dog to be, like, tricked by the illusion of the Muppet. Just like, why is your hand in this sock? All right.
Dogs don't have a sense of whimsy. And the last thing we watched this week was Bob reading The Turtle Who Wanted to Make Friends to Shelley the Turtle, who we already talked about quite a bit, but I just want to reiterate, Shelley's great.
I love these ones where there's a human reading a story and the characters from the story are interacting with them.
Well, and I think just Shelley is the closest thing to a human animal Muppet that I feel like we've seen. He's so clearly like the same age as Bob. They could be friends if they wanted to, but apparently they don't want to.
Yeah, Bob does address him as just like perfectly rational other person trying to explain things to him.
And he's like, Shelley, you didn't even try. And I feel like, I don't know if they were purposely leaning on the metaphor, like you got to come out of your shell.
Yeah.
They don't say it that way, which seems weird for Sesame Street to not say it.
Maybe this was where the phrase originated.
I mean, yes. Prove us wrong, somebody. But yeah, I think it's very nice to see that version of Jim as well, because again, another Jim voice that isn't a very common Jim voice.
Yeah.
It's like a slow Southern kind of Jim. And I just really enjoy Shelley. And unfortunately, Shelley does not come back. There is a Shelley the Turtle that comes back later on Sesame Street that is not this
not
Shelley.
The same guy. Sheldon, young Sheldon. He
This
should have
is-
showed up more.
This is young Sheldon. This is the show.
I also really love Muppet rabbits. They're so crazy looking. I like that all the Muppets on Sesame Street are just whatnots that they have to repurpose into stuff. Which sometimes, like, the frogs don't look very good, but the rabbits just look insane in a way that really works for me.
But that does it for season 15 of Sesame Street.
Phew.
What'd you think, Sam?
I feel like there was one round of this that I hated it, Sesame Street. But every other time that we've done it, it's been like, this is pretty cute. And I really enjoyed watching the little snippets of just the stories that we watched for the computer one and the voting one. And I thought the one where they run in the marathon was actually really pretty good. Like, hung together well. It was like a very in-depth story that took a lot of explaining from me. Yeah, it was fun. What do you think?
I'm completely on the same page. I think, as we mentioned at the top of the episode, it feels even more modern than 1984, 1983. Like, it feels like stuff I remember watching. And so it also makes me feel like, Sesame Street's not going to change that dramatically as we watch through these seasons now. But yeah, I overall liked it. I really was impressed with the way they handled Mr. Hooper's thing, especially seeing the Just Because segment and the stuff with the baby. I think they just handled that episode extremely well. I mean, the fact that Elmo is also still out there occasionally doing stuff and we don't see this fool is wild.
We're going to be seeing too much of Elmo.
Oh, yeah, no, he's going to take over eventually, but...
We're going to both have to buy Tickle Me Elmo dolls and review them live on air.
I mean, I had one when I was like, whatever age I was when those came out. Probably too old.
15, 16.
Yeah, I was like, eh. But that means it's time for our Muppet of the Week. And this week's Muppet of the Week is Forgetful Jones.
Oh, forgetful.
The forgetful cowboy with purple skin and a nice big mustache.
And a loving, supporting partner.
Yeah, he has a girlfriend named Clementine who is always there to keep him remembering things.
She's like 51st dating this guy. She's got to show him the video every morning of like, you're a cowboy. My name's Clementine. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it.
I mean, as somebody who has a partner who has to be kind of like this with my ADHD brain, starting laundry and never remembering to continue doing the laundry, it is helpful to have my wife around sometimes to be like, hey, so did you finish the laundry? And me going, damn it. That's my life every weekend.
We both remember the laundry. We're just too lazy to go down and get it out.
So, yeah, I never remember that I even started it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's fun.
Oh, forgetful.
But Forgetful Jones debuted in season 12 of Sesame Street back in 1980. In the first season he was around, he was performed by Michael Earl, one of the Sesame Street performers. And then from 1981 until 1991, he was performed by Richard Hunt. And that was until Richard Hunt's death in 1992. And after that, Forgetful Jones went on to make some non-speaking cameos for a while. In the finale of Elmo Saves Christmas, he's in a flashback sequence in episode 4197. And he also shows up in the background of some season 45 episodes, apparently.
What season are we on now in Sesame Street terms?
In real world,
Yeah.
they just finished shooting season 54, I believe.
Okay.
But in the last several years, Forgetful has made a few appearances in some like online videos and also at Comic-Con, where he has been performed by Matt Vogel, who does a fantastic version of like Richard Hunt's Forgetful. Like it sounds very, very close to Richard Hunt's.
Cool.
Forgetful does have some family members that we meet throughout the years on Sesame Street. He has an Uncle Ned, who we just kind of see, don't learn much about. He has Forgettingest Jones, who is his great-great-grandfather. Who
forgets even more than him?
He's just also forgetful. I don't know if they show that he's more forgetful in any way, but he is Forgettingest. We also meet Forgetful Jones's cousin, who doesn't get a name, but she also is forgetful. And we get to meet Forgetful Jones's parents, who are not forgetful.
Whoa, the gene skipped them.
The gene skipped weirdly 2 generations, I think, there. And according to Muppet Wiki, in episode 1561, Forgetful actually is revealed to live about 40 miles away from Sesame Street.
Whoa, okay.
Which
What's
is
40 miles from New York City?
I mean, water.
He lives on a boat in the ocean. Okay. Or he lives on like an island of all cowboys out in the middle of the ocean.
He also has 2 horses that we have seen. One named Buster, and Buster's brother, what's his name? Yeah.
I've never seen what's his name, I don't think.
I think what's his name only pops up in maybe like a game show segment. There's like a This Is Your Life kind of segment for Forgetful, where this is where some of the family members show up, and I think it's also where what's his name shows up.
Okay.
But surprisingly, for a character that has been around for over 40 years, that's really about all there is to know about Forgetful Jones.
Yeah, that adds up.
And I guess before we rate this Muppet, how do you feel about characters like this that are pretty much just one note forever?
I've been thinking about that, and I feel like I like him. I like Sesame Street ones that do this more than I like Muppet Show Universe ones who do this. Like, I get way more annoyed by New Zealand than I do by The Count. And maybe it's because there's more of a reason for them to be this way. But I really like Forgetful Jones and The Count, and like almost all of Sesame Street characters sort of are just like one note like this, with a few exceptions, I suppose. But in Muppet Show, I hate it. In this, in Sesame Street, I'm okay with it. What do you think?
I think it's character by character for me. I think certain characters...
Do you hate Forgetful Jones?
I don't love Forgetful Jones.
Oh.
I kind of don't like... I don't know. It seems like if I was writing Sesame Street... It's like, oh, okay, I guess we should probably include that guy. Like, I don't feel like there's anything new to do with him each time.
Uh-huh. He kind of freaks me. His things kind of freak me out a little bit because he kind of lives in a nightmare. And it's just kind of scary occasionally for him to be that forgetful.
Well, and 40 miles is so far to travel for someone who's going to forget, halfway there.
Yeah, I'm looking up places that are 40 miles from New York. He probably lives on Long Island.
Is that 40 miles?
It could be. It's very long, my friend. It is 80 miles long, it looks like. So he could live
anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
In Huntington, Melville, Plainview, Deer Park, Farmingdale.
Other places in New York.
Yeah. Other places on Long Island. Yeah.
Huh. I guess that is a Long Island.
I think this is Long Island. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but...
It's that weird little thing jutting out to the right?
Yeah, that's what I think it is.
Yeah, that's Long Island.
When I think Long Island, that's what I think.
Think of that thing over there.
Yeah, and that's a guarantee.
Well, I give him a 5 out of 10.
I give him a 7.5. I'm not crazy about him or anything, but I like Cowboy. I think I like Cowboys a lot, too. That's part of it. Which might be why I like the Jimmy Dean stuff so much, too.
See, I like Jimmy Dean. Don't love Cowboys.
Okay.
Well, Sam, it's time for me to ask you before we go, what non-Muppet things you got to enjoy this week?
Matt,
you seem ready. You seem so
Matt,
ready to answer this question.
I saw a little movie called John Wick 4.
Heard of it?
4. You ever heard of it?
Heard of it.
Hot damn, it was a good damn movie.
That's good to hear. I love the first 3.
Yeah? I was going to ask you if you'd seen them. We just did a rewatch of all of them.
I love the first 3.
And the thing about them, they just keep getting better and better. And this one's 3 hours long. But
wow.
It really, it feels like 2 movies kind of, because there is like a whole part in Tokyo and then a whole part of like a globe-trotting adventure, and they both are just a little bit separate from each other. But oh man, I don't even want to talk about the scene because it's so fucking cool. But there's like a one-shot scene towards the end of the movie that's just like made my brain like light up like a pinball machine. It was just like, and there's so many like little dumb parts that they're like setting up. It's like, why would that person have that? Why would that person have that? And then when it does the scene, you're like, oh,
that's why they had the thing.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it has like more characters in it than ever before, and more like less John Wick dialogue than ever before, which is good. But I fucking loved it. I was pumped coming out of the theater.
Nice. And I will definitely see it eventually, but 3 hours is a long time to go sit in the movie theater.
Movie, and I kept being like, I'm gonna go pee now. Oh wait, I can't go pee now. Because if you miss, it's also the kind of movie where the story's just stupid enough where if you miss one line of dialogue,
you have no idea what's going on.
So confused. Yeah. Why does he hate him now? Huh? Who's this guy? Yeah, like that. But so don't pee. Don't drink anything.
Don't pee.
Yeah.
John Wick 4. Don't pee.
How about you, Matt? What are you doing?
I watched a bunch of stuff. Ted Lasso's back. Watching that. Still watching The Mandalorian. It's gotten better since the episode 1. But I also watched this week Thor: Love and Thunder for the first time.
Oh, okay. Talk to me.
Did not like it.
It's so bad.
It was like confusingly bad.
Yeah.
In ways that like, it was not bad in the way I thought it was bad. In the way people talked about it, I thought it was like, people thought it was just too goofy. And that's not the problem with that movie. The problem is not that it's too goofy. The problem is just that like, it is bad. The problem is it's like 4 movies in one movie.
Yeah.
They just tried too much.
I mean, it's 4 Thor arcs in one movie that were all like really good arcs on their own.
Yeah, and they tried to just combine too many things into one idea, and they like try to tell you like the theme of this movie is love, and you're like, no, it's not. Nothing that you're doing in the movie reinforces that, other than you telling me that it's
Except
about
at the
love.
End, when all of a sudden it's like, well, I guess he adopted this kid. Why
Yeah.
would he do that?
Yeah. But yeah, no, definitely. I mean, not for me at all. Is basically my review of Thor: Love and Thunder. Is
I
like,
was so down.
it was a bummer because Ragnarok was so great.
Yeah. It was really one of the first, and the other Thor movies are not good either, but they at least you kind of know what they're going for.
Yes.
Or like trying to do or whatever. This was really one of the first Marvel movies where I was done with it. I was like, that was bad. I just didn't have any fun at that at all.
This to me felt like they made Ragnarok and Taika Waititi was like, I'm done, bye. And they hired somebody else and said, hey, we made Ragnarok, we loved it. Can you make us another Ragnarok? And a new director and writer came in and said, got you. And they tried to do Ragnarok.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's actually the opposite of that, where Ragnarok was not written by Taika Waititi. It was written by other people.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he directed it. And I'm sure, obviously, there's lots of improv involved, but like this one, he wrote with another writer.
Okay.
And so Taika might have been part of the problem.
Yeah, maybe he's better at punching scripts up with his jokes and stuff. And stuff
Yeah.
going on. But Gore the God Killer in the comic books, that arc is beautiful and like drawn beautifully, really cool. That character is amazing, and they just and also Christian Bale's amazing, and he's good in that role.
Yeah, he's very good and very evil, and it just felt like Christian Bale the man would have been getting frustrated with. It reminds me of the line that Tommy Lee Jones said about Jim Carrey when they were doing Batman Forever. When he says, I will not sanction your buffoonery.
Yeah.
And that to me is what Christian Bale is like in this, where it's like he has the opening scene of this movie is so dark and serious. And there's like a goofy god being like, man, this guy. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is a weird start to a movie. And then it kept being weird.
It would have been, that would have been a really good duality, though, if he was very serious and the gods were all really stupid. Yeah. Which is kind of what they did, but he didn't actually butcher any gods for a god butcher.
Well, no, he butchers a lot of gods that we never see, never care about, and don't, we just don't care. There's nothing, there's no villain in this movie, really. Like, there's no threat directly to our heroes, and they were also like, and also we're gonna fit Jane Foster in here somehow.
And that doesn't even begin to address how dirty they did that storyline.
Yeah,
she deserved like multiple movies of being
Yep.
whatever.
Yep. She should have got to be Thor for like a whole movie, and then they can do the cancer storyline later on or something.
She could have been a Thor in an Avengers movie. Like she could have been the Thor, and then been like, I'm sick. Actually, I've been sick the whole time.
Said she gets like a week of being Thor.
Ugh. Okay.
But other than that, I'm listening to the new Fall Out Boy album on repeat, and that's my life.
That's why there's so much Fall Out Boy on your various timelines.
And I started watching that show Barry last night, which seems to be right up my alley.
Oh, the first season. I haven't watched all of Barry because it was too dark for Rachel.
It's pretty dark.
I really like the first season of it.
Yeah.
There's like some very John Wicky parts in some of those episodes that are just like, whoa. That was some very graphic violence out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, I'm just started it last night. It is one of those shows that I will be watching on my own. My wife would not enjoy it, I don't think.
Yeah, I need to finish that show.
So, watching a lot of stuff. Speaking of watching a lot of stuff, next week we'll be watching more stuff, Sam, because that's what we do here on this podcast.
What a surprise.
We will not be watching as many things as we watched this week. That's we hold that out for Sesame Street, I think. Next week, we are headed into a whole new year as we enter January of 1984. And we watch and discuss the first 4 episodes of Season 2 of Fraggle Rock. And those are the episodes entitled Wembley's Egg, Boober Rock, The Trash Heap Doesn't Live Here Anymore, and Red's Sea Monster.
I gotta tell you, I've been missing Fraggle Rock in a way that I never missed Muppet Show.
I watched Wembley's Egg this morning before we recorded because I was like, I kind of feel like watching Fraggle Rock just for fun. So I'm glad we're getting into Season 2. But we need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Go to commitment.com to pick up an enamel pin or check out that Patreon page so you can watch our old video game playthroughs. And you can contact us either on that site or at mail@commitment.com. You can follow us on the internet on social media at CommitmentPod. And you can follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.